I feel a little bit like Bilbo Baggins right now. Um, I literally was like, "Oh, I can play my game, and then we can start Lethal Company at 11. So I have 3 hours. It'll be fine." And then I turn on my Elgato, like I always do before I start my stream, and it crashed right away, which is honestly par for the course. And then I was like, "That's fine. I'll turn it back on." And as soon as all right, I turned it back on. It's been on a few minutes. It crashed again. I just unplugged everything again and plugged it back in. We'll see how we go. But my Elgato might be against me trying to finish this chapter before we start our game. We're on the last chapter, so there's a big chance that we can finish it before 11. We've got 3 hours to get there. And then we're going to be playing Lethal Company with our same friends from last time. So we're going to have Palm, Puds, and Trico again with us today. And we're going to be playing until I go to work. So, unless somebody has plans and has to leave early, we'll see how it goes. And then I asked Palmy and Trico, my sibling, and my sibling's friend, if they want to play on Thursday. So there's a chance we might have another party Thursday evening as well, because I plan on playing Winter's Wish in the morning, and then I have like a scheduled event it's a doctor's visit. I don't know why I make it sound fancy. In the middle of the day, so I have to go do that, and then after that, I was gonna play Lethal Company. So because it's Thursday, and then Friday, because Friday is my sister's D&D night. I don't know if I've explained this enough. I live with my sister. Me and my sister were roommates. We're roomies, and she goes to D&D, and when she goes to D&D, I usually stream. So that's when I'm streaming games. Or in the mornings, which honestly, this has been pretty fun, making it a 3-day-a-week thing. So hopefully when we finish this one, we'll have another one. I have, oh God, I always say it wrong. Biru Shahana. Nope. Birush Hana. That's what we're going to go with. I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong. Which I was planning on playing in January. And then February, I was going to play Cupid Parasite. And then at the end of February, Sympathy's Kiss comes out. So I'll start playing that. There's also Dreamlight Valley, which I know I played Dreamlight Valley for myself. But I haven't played it yet this month. And they had new stuff going on. So I'm probably going to play that some point this week or next week. I wanted to play a couple Christmassy style games. I was even debating getting the Grinch just for the fun of it, just to play it for a little bit. I think it's a co-op game, so maybe I can convince somebody to play with me. We'll see how it goes. All right, 3 days have gone by in a blink of an eye since the Oniwaban started guarding Mimi. Hanzo never made an appearance near her, let alone other form folk. Although Hanzo, I believe, is a ghost right now. Like, you can't see him. He's like an apparition. Hello. I just took my glasses off, so I don't know what you said. It's like I had a smudge. Good morning. Is it J Minnie? Welcome back to the chat. So I don't know what your time zone is, but good morning. It is 8 a.m. for me. Hanzo never made an appearance near her, let alone other form folk. Again, I don't think he's making appearances because he's like a figment. Are you eating, Kamame? Because that sounds like your eating voice. Chirp, 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 chirp. Oh. When I went back to the base that evening, I found Kamame packing at grains of rice. Look at me. I know Kamame so well. I can call you Jay. It's 7 a.m. here. I got up at 6 and we were going to go. It's coffee day. I don't know if there's a Dutch Bro where you're at, but not coffee. It's sticker day. Dutch Bro gives out stickers every now and then. For the holiday, they're doing 3. So this is, oh gosh, today's sticker. This one, it says windmill weather instead of winter weather. And then on the back, it convinces you to go back on the 20th. So it was sticker day. So we got up early because my sister had to go to work early. And I got up at 6. We were supposed to go almost at 7. And then we did not leave the house until almost 8. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll start my stream later than I planned. But goodness, 7 a.m. Are you heading to work or are you just chilling out today? I know you were at work yesterday. When I went back to the base that evening, I found Komame picking at grains of rice that had been dropped in a trail down the hallway. Sounds like a trap. Waiting at the end of the trail was Kuga, taking rice out of a tiny bag and leading her down the hall one grade at a time. Wait, are they cooked rice? It should be cooked.
今日も一日ご苦労だった。
Kuga, what the heck are you doing with my bird? Oh, Leah, thank you for your hard work the other day. I didn't do all that much. More importantly, were you feeding Komami for me just now? Teleworking today, so I have this stream in the background. Oh, nice. Thank you for joining me during telework. I want to do telework. Part of me is like, then I can stay home. And then I'll not have to go anywhere. The sun burns.
ああ、こいつには世話になっている。それに少し腹を空かせていたようだったのでな。
I owe her as much. Besides, she seems a bit hungry. Yeah, but why are you feeding her in this manner? This bird pops up everywhere. Once my thumbnails start coming up for this game, I put Komame on my character in multiples of them. After Komame gobbled up all of the rice Kuga had laid out, she hopped onto his leg since he was down on one knee. Chirp, 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 chirp. She's having a good day. She happily hopped up from Kuga's knee to his arm, then from his arm to his shoulder before finally making it all the way to the top of his head. I love Komame. She's so cute. I mean, she sounds like a Pokemon, which makes it more enthralling. I guess I'll screenshot every one of these steps of her. Komame, she doesn't see him as furniture instead of a person, does she? She looked at me rather proudly. She didn't seem shy around Kuga like she was when cozying up to Yoichi. She seems fond of him, or I guess I should say she probably doesn't think he minds because he's being so quiet. I don't know if Komame would care. Like, she chases Yoichi down. It looks like Kuga and Komame had been learning to get along while I was purifying form folk and keeping an eye on Mimi. In other words, Kuga must be engaging with Komame a lot because he needs it for his own peace of mind. That's right. In the last chapter, she basically says, I hold Komame when I feel anxious. I guess she's just trying. You went to Maharu's today, didn't you? How is she? Same as always, she's fine, and there was nothing unusual going on. Really? Kuga sat down, gently reaching up to his head where Komame was, then placed her on his hand. Chirp. Komame must have lost interest in hanging out, however, because she left for my room. She's like a cat. Like, if you actually give the attention, she's like, no. Never without my permission. Ectogamete. Komame. I was hoping she'd help Kuga feel better for a bit longer. You don't know if she's helping at all. I can't blame him for feeling more impatient than me and the rest of the Oniwaban. He's been laying low and hasn't been able to participate in anything Oniwaban related since the vessel attacked Hanzo's hideout earlier. He still couldn't walk around outside because of all the rumors Hanzo spread about him either. Which, again, this place is wild. Like, they hear one rumor from a stranger and go like, must be true. They don't even question why the form folk are acting really weird. Not being able to contribute after learning more about Hanzo and the relationship must have been absolute torture for Kuga. Only if he has emotions. Am I right? Not to mention his owner had apparently been a horrible person. And he probably hadn't come to terms with the fact that the blight flaw Hanzo had come to be because of the terrible crimes of his former owner had committed either. We've established he's probably not entirely that guy. I can't believe I finally have a moment to chat with Kuga, and I've just been sitting here in silence. Silence is golden, bro. Maybe I should switch to a more positive topic to distract him a bit, or maybe I should talk about the dream Mitsu had. I mean... I'm going to click on this one, but I don't think it's the right answer. But I feel like it'd be the good answer in terms that maybe he has these memories too. Oh, that was interesting. Hang on, that was snowflakes. That's not... Kuga, did anyone tell you about the dream Mitsu had while she was possessed by Hanzo?
夢の話いや、聞いていないが。
I love the soundtrack for Winter Wish, especially the opening song. I always watch the opening thing once at least. I can't remember the opening song, but the general tone of this and everything, I really like it. I was debating if I could maybe sample it for my opening thing, because I don't have an opening track for when I'm coming on. So I always try to start my game in advance so there's music playing when I have the BRB and the ending screen playing. This game is notorious, though, for not having music at the very beginning of the chapter, which is a bit weird. There is one track. It's when they're getting like into fight mode almost, though in this one that's a little jarring because it's almost off-putting with how it sounds. The dream she had, no, I hadn't heard about it. Of course he wouldn't have. Kuga was currently being left out of the plan to take down Hanzo. Yoichi wouldn't have given him any information that wasn't relevant to the plan anyways, and even Miyagi would have found it hard to actively tell him about it. But since it had to do with Kuga's past, honestly, I wasn't sure whether I should tell him. Tell him, bro. Let's find out. You seem to not care about, like, hurting these guys, honestly. Sometimes the things she says, she's all like, oh, I was curious, but, like... I'm like, yeah, you're curious, but you know what happens when they get their mems back, when they get their feels back? After Hanzo correctly guessed the signature of his wakizashi, Kuga asked Miyagi to tell him the truth despite how dangerous knowing about his past was. When Kuga asked him to do that, he decided not to turn away from his past. Now that I knew how Kuga felt, I simply couldn't ignore his feelings about it. I don't know if that's true.
そうか。ミツはそんな夢を。
I feel like I need a sketchbook, not sketchbook, a sketch pad over here just so I can write notes. Like, oh, this one didn't have flowers, it had snow, question mark, question mark, question mark. I feel like in the last route, when you had the little droplets from the top, that was with Komame's side. And whenever you had to be nice to Komame, you had to support Komame. Otherwise, you got the bad ending. I feel like maybe that's the same vibe there. You don't say. Mitsu dreamed about that. Once I finished telling him about Mitsu's dream, Kuga smiled fondly. However, it wasn't quite gentle kind he very seldom gave me. Instead, it was a bittersweet smile that made my chest tighten just looking at him.
お前の言っていた通りだったな。道具は一人の人間に使われるものではない。
You were right about what you said earlier. Tools aren't things that are only used by one person. Huh?
お前に言われてから自分なりに考えていたのだ。半蔵にとって私は憎い仇そのもの。しかし私にとって半蔵はどんな存在なのかと。
I've been thinking about what you said ever since. To Hanzo, I'm his worst enemy, but what is Hanzo to me? I'm also slowly becoming more confused in this game because I thought they made it sound like Fae Form's lives were tied to their owner, and it seemed like Hanzo was created by his parents, which meant he should have died when his dad died, question mark.
私の見つけた答えは家族だった。
I found my answer. To me, he's family. I accidentally gasped at what Kuga said because it was the exact same feeling I had after hearing Mitsu talk about her dream.
私に半蔵の主人であり、私の作り主でもある石井殿の記憶はない。 復讐の念にとらわれる前の半蔵や、その兄弟や母親が幸福に過ごす様子の記憶も。
I have no memories of Lord Ishii, Hanzo's owner, and my creator, nor happy memories of Hanzo, his brothers, or mother before he was consumed by vengeance.
私は私ではなく、脇差しだったのだから当然だが、それに、私に魂が宿ったのは、石井家にいる時ではなく、赤堀源五右衛門のもとにいた時のはずだ。
That only makes sense since I was a wakizashi at the time, not myself, and my soul resided within the sword while I was with Genjimon Akahori, not the Ishis.
もし記憶が封印されていなかったとしても、覚えているのは石井家での日々ではなく、赤堀の脇差しとして逃亡する日々だったやもしれない。
This is a theory, sir. You are not 100% sure on this one. If my memories weren't sealed, I'd remember my life on the run as Akahori's sword instead of my life with the Ishii family.
だから、こう感じるのは気の迷いかもしれないが。
So perhaps it's all in my head.
やはり、あいつは私にとって家族だと。兄弟のような。
You have the same dye in your hair. I think you're definitely
そう
family.
思わずにはいられるのだ。
But he definitely feels like family to me, like a brother of sorts. I can't see it any other way. As Kuga said this, he gently touched the I can't even. I have to say this slowly every time. Wakizashi hanging from his hips. He treated it no less carefully since learning the truth, and the sword was as well maintained and beautiful as ever. But to me, Kuga looked like a small child, desperately clutching his parents' hand so he wouldn't get separated. Kuga, do you want to let Hanzo know you're not Genjimon Akahori? And that, like, Hanzo, you're a form folk born from a sword his dad created?
あいつには再三、私は赤堀ではないと繰り返しているからな。
Technically, you didn't tell him that you're a form folk.
聞き入れてはもらえないだろう。
I've told him again and again, and I'm not Akahori. That's all you've told him, right? All you said is like, I'm not Akahori. I didn't kill your father. I don't think he'd listen to me if I said the same thing over again.
それにもし、私が脇差しから生まれたものだと理解してもらえたとて、許されはしない。半蔵の思い出の中に、私は存在しないのだから。
But you're not the person that killed his dad. That's like the big thing. He may understand that I was born from the Wakizashi, but still refuse to acknowledge it. I don't exist in his memories. I couldn't think of anything to say. I told Kuga that humans have many worries and troubles of their own, but have I ever been this deeply distressed?
もし以前、
You lived in a cabin in the woods and were treated like a monster. I think you've been pretty stressed.
悩むことはなかっただろうな。
If I had just defeated Hanzo with my own hands earlier, I would never have been so troubled.
しかし、一切は過ぎたこと。そして私は今、お前や他のお庭番に全てを託し、待つことしかできん。
But that's all in the past now. At this point, all I can do is wait while you and the rest of the Oniwaban take care of it.
だから頼む。どうか、半蔵を止めてやってくれ。
I have a favor to ask of you, Leah. Please stop Hanzo. Kuga, I don't know if I can. Kuga had once said that he saw himself as a burden because he couldn't join the fight and couldn't fulfill his duties as a member of the Oniwaban. He must have been feeling very conflicted if he was telling me this and stifling the urge to stop Hanzo himself. Still, Kuga choosing to grin and bear it here at the base. I found this fact rather touching all over again. I wasn't completely sure about taking down Blightfall like Hanzo, who had gone down the wrong path after something painful happened to him. But I made up my mind. Even if it means killing Hanzo, I need to stop him on Kuga's behalf. Just that. I heard my stomach make the most pathetic noise. Why now of all time? That sounds like my stomach. My stomach is getting super loud. I definitely have been busy all day and hadn't had a bite to eat since this morning. I'm also notorious for like not eating breakfast, going to work, and then it's like 5 p.m. and I'm like, God, I'm so hungry. And they're like, what's the last thing you ate? And I'm like, nothing. You're smiling, aren't you? I bet you think I have an insatiable appetite.
いや、そんなことはない。良くなる腹だと思っていただけだ。
It's the opposite. Same, I'm not a breakfast person either. I just forget usually. Like, it's just too early. I'm like getting up. I need to get up. I need to get dressed. Okay, I'm done. And that's it. And then usually we don't have anything that's really like snackish in the house. So I'm just like, I'll eat later. And then I forget to eat later. No, not at all. I was just thinking that I hear your stomach rumble a lot. I wanted to tear my hair out and curl up into a ball. Part of me wanted to pretend that hadn't happened, but I didn't have the courage after my failed attempt to rip your hair out. Am I understanding?
恥ずかしがらなくてもいい。任務が忙しくて、それどころではなかったのだろう。
Kuga understands. He understands my plight. No need to feel embarrassed. I expect no less since you were busy working all day.
握り飯でよければ、私が作ろう。宮地殿の家から米を分けてもらってきてくれないか。
I can make you something to eat if you don't mind having rice balls. Would you mind fetching some rice from Lord Miyagi's house? Huh? We don't have any left? I could have sworn we still had some when I looked this morning.
今はこれだけだ。小豆はよく食べるな。余市を思い出した。
Oh, I see. So you're saying I eat a lot now, Kuga. I got it. This is all we have. Komame don't eat so much. You remind me of Yoichi. He said this before giving the bag to in his hand a loose shake. Kuga, did you give Komame too much to eat? If it's raw, she's gonna die. I'd have to warn him about that later. At this rate, there was no telling when my stomach would start rumbling again. I'll have to go get some rice from Miyagi like he suggested. Is Miyagi living here? Okay, I'll be right back. Sounds good. Kuga said to me from where he sat on the veranda in the garden. Just like at Kuga's house where I lived before, we used the back door to come and go and kept the townspeople from spotting us. I don't see anyone walking by. I quickly left through the back door and glanced down the dark alley when out of nowhere, she got into a Pokemon battle. Someone grabbed me from behind. When I jumped back instinctively and looked to see who it was, I found a man I didn't recognize standing there.
勘のいい女だな。あんた、この家の奉公人だろ。やっぱり形人をかくまってやがったんだな。
You're a quick one. What are you, this family's servant? I knew they were harboring foreign folk here. It doesn't seem to be Hanzo. He looks like a regular thug. By the way he spoke, he seemed to have mistaken me for a foreign folk. He also attacked me out of the blue because he was out to exterminate foreign folk. I could see an inexplicable fury in his eyes. That didn't mean I couldn't completely relax, though. The man had a wakizashi at the ready. There's a huge difference in range between a wakizashi and a dagger. How can I pin him? My chance to do that would be the next time he threw himself at me. Maybe if I used his own strength against him to make him fall or die. Goodness. But then the man thrusted his sword right at my throat with incredible speed and force. This guy has no proof she's a foreign folk. Not that murder is okay. To speak, murder's not okay. But he has no proof that she's a foreign folk and he's going to stab her. Most people would go after the foreign folk's little token, little taggy tag. He's fast. His movements were nothing like the way he moved earlier. For a moment, I was impressed. He was just as swift as an Oniwaban. In battle, however, one moment of initiation, inattention, is what I meant to say, could mean your doom. The second he tried to cut my throat open with the rusty tip of his sword... Yeah! A rock flew from the direction of the garden, hitting the man square in the arm he was using to wield his sword. Taken aback by the pain, the man dropped his wakizashi before he could even hit the ground. Leah, are you okay? Kuga ran over and slammed the man's face into the ground, knocking him out. By the looks of it in his face, the man wasn't about to wake up anytime soon. Kuga? Wrinkles deeper than any I'd seen formed on the furrowed brow. Kuga took a hand towel out of his kimono and tied the man up with it, keeping him from moving if he woke. Still shaken, I simply watched him work. Oh, which reminds me, I need to ask my friends. I need to make sure that if there's mods we're using for Lethal Company, I download them this time. All right. Simply shaken. I simply watched his work.
怪我は
Still, not simply. I don't know why I kept saying simply. Grr, hi, Sleazy. Good morning. That is so many cute emojicons. I think I recognize the VTuber, but I don't know their name. I like the little swiggy swaggy swig one. Hurt? What?
怪我はないかと聞いている
I'm asking if you're hurt. Bro, was she really that confused? Hugo stood up and gripped my shoulders with a painful amount of force. He's like a vampire. He doesn't even know his own strength. Wobbling around his neck were red threads, the color of anger. Huh?
どうしたなぜ答えない
Leah, what's wrong? Why aren't you answering me? Hugo, are you mad right now?
何
What? His red threads then turned yellow.
本当に大丈夫かすまない私が用事など頼まなければ
She
お前
never
に
said
恐ろ
she's
しい思い
okay.
をさせずに済んだもの
Are you sure you're okay? My apologies. I wouldn't have put you in such a frightening situation if I hadn't asked you to run an errand for me. Now his threads were blue. Hugo must have been sad because he felt bad for me, just as he had said. I was absolutely certain now. I couldn't believe it at first, but Hugo, your seal has come undone.
え
What? I can see emotional threads all around your neck. I only see those of humans and form folk with hearts. You never had threads until just today. Kaiora? Kaiora? Is that right? Did I say it right?
そんなわけはない私はキコだ
Oh, sure,
心はない
Kuga. You don't have a heart. That can't be possible. I'm a vessel. I don't have a heart. Yes, you do. It's sealed off, but didn't you agree with the idea I had earlier? Still, it's no longer sealed away. In other words, you're no different from a human or form folk now. You don't know. Do you not watch their content? Do they never say their name? Hugo wore an incredibly grim expression, but his threads were orange, the color of joy. That's where I got the emojicons from. The color of joy. He's happy. He's happy. To be honest, I hadn't expected that from him. He didn't seem like someone who would view becoming some kind of unvessel-like being as a good thing.
私の意図を見て何を考えているのか探るのはやめてくれ
Oh, he's blushing. Stop looking at my threads and trying to figure out what I'm thinking. Sorry, that was rude of me. You're right. It's just a habit
Yeah.
I formed from all the anxiety I've
し
gotten
か
over
し
the
見て
years.
しまうのが当然だろうな今まで存在していなかったものがあるのだから
Get all the blushy boys. I always screenshot them the first time they blush. It's necessary. Not that I blame you for looking. Something's there that didn't previously exist. Something there that wasn't there before. I got it. I've watched
先ほど
Beauty and
見
the
るなと
Beast.
言ったばかりでなんだが私は今どんな状態なんだ
I realize that I just asked you not to look, but how do I seem to you right now?
胸の中がむずがゆくて、頬が引きつりそうになるのをこらえている。こんな状態に陥ったことは一度もない。
I feel uneasy, and I'm doing everything I can to keep my face from twitching. I've never been in this situation before. Maybe you're happy the sill's been broken. He looks super surprised. But that would be weird, wouldn't it? Especially when you were really uncomfortable with the idea of it breaking.
そうだな。封印が解ければ、良いかに弱みを晒すことになる。
It's true. I'm much more vulnerable to Blightfall now that it's come undone. Also, you're vulnerable to death because it came undone. And that's because it's undone.
良いか討伐のために作られた道具として、これほど不名誉なことはない。そもそも、封印の解けた機構は処分されるのが決まりだ。
As a tool created solely to defeat Blightfall, nothing is more disgraceful. The rule has always been that vessels whose seals have been broken are disposed of. Kuga, you can't be. My heart nearly jumped out of my throat when Kuga said what I'd been trying not to think about. Before I had a chance to convince him otherwise, Kuga continued on.
お前はなぜ私の心の封印が解けたのだと思う？
Ooh, Leah, why do you think the seal on my heart came undone? What? I don't know. Do you think it's because I taught you about feeling worried and troubled? Maybe that weakened your seal.
それも確かにあるかもしれん。だが、最後のきっかけになったのは、おそらく、お前を失いたくないと思ったことだ。
That certainly could be. I think the last straw was not wanting to lose you, though. I haven't obviously done Kinji's route yet. If you've played Collar X Malice, you'll be familiar with my favorite guy in the world. He's little seaweed head that has like green hair and loves donuts because that's me in a nutshell. He voices Kinji, but this character feels very similar to that vibe. I almost wonder if he should have voiced this guy, or is that too bad giving him a character that's very similar to his other character? But Kinji could also be a quiet dude. We haven't done that route. He's actually going to be the 2 routes from now, because we're going to do Yoriichi next, then Kinji, then Tomonari, and then Otaru. I remembered all the names. I might have said them wrong. The vibes were right. That certainly could be. I think the last straw is not wanting to lose you, though. It's his like deadpan face right now. He's like, I didn't want to lose you. What?
あの男の刀がお前の喉を貫こうとするのを見たとき、頭の中で何かが切れたような音がした。勝手に体が動いて止まらなかった。
This sentence sounds so unhinged. When I saw that man trying to stab you in the throat with his sword, I heard something snap in my head. My body started moving on its own. I couldn't stop.
お前が無事に立っているのを見たとき、胸が本当に震えたんだ。
When I saw you standing there safe, I actually felt my heart quiver. Hyuga's hand, still gripping my shoulder, squeezed me tighter. He was strong, so it hurt a tiny bit, but I can't believe I mean that much to him. The seal on his heart had withstood so much stress, and yet that one thing had been enough to break it. The thought was so overwhelmingly sweet, it left me speechless.
私にはまだわからないことばかりだ。
There are still quite a lot of things I don't
心が
understand.
蘇っているとしても、自分の中にある感情の名を知らない。ただ、初めての感覚に翻弄されている。
My heart might have came back to me, but I still don't know the name of the emotions I'm feeling. I'm at the mercy of sensations I've never quite experienced before.
だが、そんな私でも一つわかることがある。私が今、封印が解けたことを喜んでいるのだとしたら、その理由もお前だ。
But there's one thing I do know. If I'm happy that my seal's been broken, it means I'm happy because of you, Leah. Hyuga? Hold on, does that mean... For a while, I'd been doing everything I could not to fall for him, telling myself I couldn't because he was my friend and a fellow member of the Oniwaban. But with Kuga looking directly at me, I found it hard to keep my long-time effort to not misunderstand him.
それと、安心してくれていい。お頭たちや吉宗様の判断はわからんが、私から処分を希望することはない。
I don't know what the bosses and Lord Yoshimun's decision will be, but rest assured I have no desire to be disposed of. Really? Yeah, we're gonna run away together.
いつかお前が聞いてくれただろう。もし宵方退治をお役御免となったらどうするのかと。
You asked me what I would do if I was dismissed from my role fighting Blightfall once before, didn't you?
ずっと答えは出なかった。というより、処分されるのが最善の道だとしか思えなかった。
I never gave you an answer, or rather, I was only capable of thinking that being punished would be the best course of action.
しかし不思議なことに、今は、もし許されるのならば、
Strangely enough, now I would really like to stay alive if they allow it. Kuga mentioned earlier that his heart had quivered when he saw me safe and sound. Now mine was quivering too. Please do. I'll beg Lord Yoshimun not to dispose of you. I said with enthusiasm, all while thinking to myself that if I had threads around my own neck, they would be an exuberant sunset orange hue. But then Kuga's responded with,
そうか。それは手間をかけるな。
Will you? Don't put yourself through too much trouble on my behalf. Jeez, Kuga. It's not a matter of how much trouble it would be. That reaction was no different than what he would have done before his seal broke. As we talked, however, the tense feeling in the air grew more relaxed. Before I knew it, Kuga's grip on me had weakened, and instead we found ourselves holding hands.
こんな望みを抱くようになったのも、封印が解けたからなのだろうか。
I guess I'm only starting to have hopes like those because the seal's been broken, right? In that case, I'm really glad it did. And it's hitting me belatedly. I'm happy for you too.
なるほど。お前にそう言われて、また胸のあたりがむずがゆくなった。
Looks like his eyes are closed. He does that sometimes. He likes to stand with his eyes closed. He's done it a few times on his route so far. It's his lost in thought. He just goes, I'm fine. The world is good. And he just keeps his eyes closed for so long. Actually, I think he's the first character in a route that's done it for a prolonged amount of times. Hearing you say that made my chest feel itchy again.
つまり、お前が嬉しいと私も嬉しいということだな。
I suppose that means I'm also happy that you're happy. What? I feel like Kuga's able to make my heart race harder than ever before now. It was a mixed bag of emotions. I was a bit scared but also happy.
随分ふぬけたことを話しているんだな。
Man. Oh, thank you for subscribing, I think. It's joining, whatever word it is. It's so tiny. I need to fix that. Oh my goodness. Alerts was so tiny. I couldn't read it. Thank you for joining the burrow. I've made it bigger. Hopefully it looks real now. Although I probably should push it up in the corner more. I just switched to OBS from Streamlabs, so all of my stuff is like not completely calibrated right now. Man, if this isn't the wimpiest little conversation I've ever heard. By the time Kuga and I realized it, he spoke, man. It was already too late. Hanzo was standing right before our very eyes in spirit form.
うまくおびき出せたようだな。ごくごく普通の族にしか見えなかったろ。
Looks like my decoy worked flawlessly. He probably just seemed like a regular old thug to you, didn't he?
少し面倒な
Oh, that's
性格がいる
right.
が、
The area that
俺には
Kuga
こういう
is
風
in
な形人を使うことが
was
できるんだ。
Blightfall proof, so he couldn't go there.
お
That's
かげで
why.
いい雰囲気じゃないか、ご両人。
It was a bit of a pain to set up, but there's one other way I can use form folk, and I made a real pair of lovebirds out of you too. Hanzo stared us down, grinning from ear to ear. It seemed like he'd been watching us while keeping himself invisible for quite some time. He was also standing right in front of the back exit. If Kuga attempted to force his way in, he'd have to make contact with Hanzo. He's a samurai warrior. He can run up walls, bro. We have no way of attacking Hanzo since he's in spirit form. Maybe he should just charge right through. A shiver ran down my spine before I could finish that thought. It's no use. Kuga's not a vessel anymore. He had a human-like body, but the soul of a form folk, and he no longer had a seal protecting his heart like it had before. In other words, if Kuga touched Hanzo, he might end up being made into a container for him. That'd be great for Hanzo. Thinking back to what happened to Mitsu, it would probably take time before he was completely possessed, but if at all possible, I didn't want to risk it.
その顔、やっと自分が窮地にいることに気づいたか。
Judging by the look on your face, I take it you finally realize the predicament you're in.
久我源十郎と言ったか。なんでもお前は形人に近い存在らしいな。
Genjuro Kuga, was it?
その肉体を俺によこせ。
You're pretty similar to a form folk, right? Hand your body over to me. Kuga and I both froze for a moment when we heard his name leave Hanzo's lip. Hey, how's the pretty boy game going? It's going great. We're just being haunted by like the soul of a guy who's after the person we currently are playing through the route of, who's made out of an object that used to belong to his old master. It's a little complicated, but once you really dig into it, it makes perfect sense. Are you excited for playing video games today? Hanzo would never call him that.
私が赤堀源五右衛門ではないといつから知っていた。
So a normal Wednesday. Exactly. It's an average Wednesday for me. How long have you known that I'm not Genjimon Akahori?
さあ、いつからだろうな。細かいことは思い出すのが億劫だ。
He's just so full of rage.
覚えていたとしてもな。
How long? I'm bad at remembering details, assuming I ever learned it. I'm excited there's a new update, so I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, I watch Saikuno play, and so he's been playing with a new update. There was a mod pack that they got, which makes the Brecken mimic people. And so sometimes, like, the Brecken will say something one of the guys have said earlier, and you'll hear it like far away, and it's really creepy. The mask also looks terrifying. Hopefully no one puts the mask on at this point. But I was told apparently people randomly spawn wearing the mask if they die inside the building too. We're probably gonna die a lot, is what I'm saying. I think it's called the Mimic. I think that's what the mod pack was called, was Mimic. But yeah, it was creepy. It was so creepy. So like they would be talking on the ship, and basically the Mimic would copy what they're saying on the ship inside. And it was pretty good. Like there was a couple times where we would say like, "Hey, Saikuno," to Saikuno, and he'd be like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Wait a second, she was on the ship." So yeah, it was pretty creepy. How long? I'm bad at remembering details, assuming I ever learned it.
だが驚いたよ。まさかあんなことで
Gotta find that
心
one,
の
yeah.
封印が解けるとは。
It was creepy. Like
くせに女に甘いとは呆れるよ。
Really took me by surprise though. Who knew the seal on your heart would break? I hardly believed my eyes when I saw you being sweet to her, even though you're a vessel. Hanzo knows he's a vessel.
お前、キコのことを知っているのか？
You knew about vessels? Yeah, that's what I just said.
ああ、霊体でいる間にい
Snap.
ろいろ盗み聞きしてね。
I overheard a few things while in spirit form. I'd been praying that my fears were ungrounded, but Hanzo seems to know about what Kuga was. Kuga, get out of here. I'll figure something out. Leah? Yeah, leave. How do you even attack a spirit? I gotta find a way to keep him out of Hanzo's hands. I need a spirit board and a Ouija board. and something else. I think I know how Phantom Foes Mia's played. Let's do this. They maybe made him just a tad too translucent because I can't even tell what his facial expression is right now. I jumped in front of Kuga, who had been protecting me and brandishing my dagger at Hanzo. I might not be able to purify him, but maybe I can hold him back using my Hakuseki powers. I got my hopes up for nothing. Oh no, he's got the mad eyes. Hanzo's body made its way forward and easily passed through me. I forgot he was a ghost. Then his indistant silhouette slipped into Kuga's body. Uh-oh. Kuga's longsword fell out of his hand. The threads around Kuga's neck flickered between distress and delight, slowly morphing into black ones representing the negative emotions in Hanzo's heart. Rip. He's not dead. Good game, well played. He's not dead yet. You're calling it too soon. Kuga! Trying to rip Hanzo away, I clung to Kuga so I could perform the no sacrament on him, of course. Though I couldn't tell if Hanzo was even in there, Kuga's expression was growing more pained by the second. The snow sacrament didn't appear to have any effect on him either. Failed. Hanzo seemed to be taking control of Kuga's body little by little, stripping him of all his freedom. Kuga's hands reached for the wakizashi still at his waist. He must have been planning to commit suicide. Was he? Kuga pointed his smoothly drawn sword unwaveringly towards his own neck. Kuga, don't! He's trying to save your life, girl. Kuga didn't listen and attempted to decapitate himself with the wakizashi, but...
本当に死んでしまっていいのか? せっかく心を取り戻せたのに。
You seriously don't mind dying even though you just got your heart back?
今死ねば、お前はその溢れんばかりの未練から良いかになってしまうかもしれんぞ。
If you die now, your immense regret might turn you into a Blightfall. The moment he heard Hanzo whisper to him, Kuga's hand stopped dead in its tracks. Had Hanzo forced Kuga to stop, or had Kuga stopped on his own free will? I couldn't tell, powerless to do anything besides watch this horrible scene unfold. You're not powerless. I won't let you have your... Stumbling, Kuga sheathed his wakizashi and picked up his longer tachi, which had fallen to the ground. Which randomly, if you're still in the chat, Trico, you were the second highest person I watched view-wise, after Iron Mouse, of course. Then he began walking down the dark alley with uncertain steps. Right? I was like, oh, look, it's Trico. But yeah, like, Iron Mouse, because I kept leaving her on because during her subathon, I think it said I'd watched, oh god, I can't remember, a bunch of hours of Iron Mouse. A bunch. Basically, anytime I was uploading a video during her subathon, I left her playing in the background while I was doing my upload. Kuga, where are you? He's right there, bro. She's pretty great to watch. I agree. I also like to watch her concerts. I'm leaving Edo. Could you tell the captain and the others? Are you sure you're strong enough for this? I won't let Hanzo do any evil deeds until you come to kill me. I think if he's powerful enough to leave on his own, he could probably go straight to the castle and be like, come here and murder me to the people there. With that hard-to-swallow request, Kuga took off running and disappeared into Samurai Town at night. Panicked, I took off after him and flew out into the street. No. In the moonlight, I saw black footprints that Hanzo, a Blightfall, were leaving behind. There weren't any There weren't any right by the base. Okay, cool. My brain just could not process that sentence. There weren't any right by the base, but I could make out faint ones that I looked a little further into the distance. That proved more than anything that Hanzo's takeover was coming along. Although the thought of Kuga being up ahead honestly made me feel like I might lose my mind. I turned on my heels and ran full sprint towards the Oniwaban base, believing it was the best thing to do in this situation. Sure, it's not like they've ever said, I'm gonna kill this guy because he's been contaminated before here. Excuse me, anyone here? Hi, it's me. After flinging the door open, I saw both Miyagi and Yoichi standing in the foyer, which made no sense because Yoichi usually likes to sleep in and doesn't like being here, but he was today. And this music almost makes me feel like they're nefarious. I'm glad you're here. It turns out they're all ghosts, and this turns into the weirdest story of them all.
そりゃあ、ミハルさんの見張りを交代してきたところだからいるでしょ。
Oh, that's right. They're watching over Miharu. Of course I am. I just finished my shift keeping watch over Miharu.
それより、そんなに慌ててどうしたんだい？
Can see it.
源十郎の護衛を任せていたはずだが。
I mean, Verche, I don't think you popped in on Verche very much, but Verche had so many moments that were just wild. Like the premise of the story and some of the routes you could have in that one, you were like, oh man, this is a pretty unhinged story. And then you'd go on one of the routes and go like, it gets weirder. So I mean, this wouldn't even surprise me if it turns out everyone was ghost in this one route. Why are you so worked up? Weren't you tasked with guarding Genjuro? Are you for real, Miyagi? Why are you so worked up? Aren't you guarding Genjuro? Correlation. Think about what you just said. Listen. Actually, Hanzo possessed Kuga's body?
Huh?
Huh?
冗談だよね。源十郎はキコだから、そういった攻撃は通用しないはずなんだけど。
You're joking, right? Attacks like that don't apply to Genjuro since he's a vessel. It's all my fault. I was attacked by one of Hanzo's foreign folk, so Kuga left the base to rescue me, and because of what happened, the seal in Kuga's heart came undone. He fell in love with me, guys. Afterwards, I explained everything to Miyagi and Yoichi, why Kuga's heart came back, what Hanzo's aim was, and that Kuga had left Ito.
嘘でしょ。源十郎みたいなキコが良いかに取りつかれたらとんでもないことになるじゃん。
No way. If a vessel like Genjiro's been possessed by a Blightfall, it'll be ridiculously strong. I'm so sorry. Like, my bad. If I had had the slightest inkling something like this might have happened, maybe I would have taught Kuga about I wouldn't have taught Kuga about feelings. I bit my lip out of both regret and guilt. Miyagi noticed the uncharacteristically sullen. How many letters are in that word, bro? You can't do this to someone with dyslexia. Miyagi noticed the uncharacteristically sullen look on my face, placed his hand on my shoulder.
君が謝る必要なんてないよ。俺がこの可能性を想定しているべきだった。そもそも彼に過去を教えたのは俺なんだから。
Leah, there's no need for you to apologize. I should have known this was a possibility. I was the one who told him about his past, after all. Also, I've been telling everybody this, but since you're here, Trico, Miyagi's voice is the voice of Rengoku from Demon Slayer, so if it sounds familiar, that's who he is.
近頃、源十郎がキコらしくなくなっているのは気づいていた。でも、正直に言うと、
I literally realized it because he said "yush" at one point, and I was like, oh, I know that voice. And when I googled it, I was right. He needs to eat things then. Yeah, he needs to go umai. Yeah, he said yes just like him, and I was like, oh, I know that voice. And so he's also a very big guy in this one too. I noticed Genjuro had been acting less vessel-like recently, but to be frank, I was hoping it to just keep an eye on him. Miyagi.
だが、それも源十郎が拠点の結界に守られていて、かつ半蔵の目的が別の形人だと考えていたからこそだ。
Only because Genjuro was protected by the barrier around the base, though. I thought Hanzo would shoot for another form folk instead.
まさか こんなに早く心の封印が解けるとは。
It wasn't that quickly, though.
源十郎の体が
Technically,
半蔵の求める条件に合致してい
they
たなん
said
て。
it's been months since the first incident in this game. So she's been over here just away at his little sill because, you know, she's just so cute. You can't help yourself. I don't know. You can't help but fall in love with her even if you're not supposed to. I can't believe the seal on his heart broke so quickly or that Genjiro's body fit Hanzo's requirements. So cute, right? You're like, alright, I guess I'll take my locked up feelings and let them
まあ
unleash.
良いかの匂いはプンプンするだろうね。キコはこの世で一番良いかと近しいんだから。
I'm sure he absolutely reeks of Blightfall. Vessels are the closest thing to them that exist. But Hanzo was convinced that Kuga was human.
気づくきっかけはあったんじゃない？半蔵が赤堀源五右衛門の返り討ちにあったのは今から20年以上前のことだし。
Something must have tipped him off. Hanzo met his eventual killer, Gigomon Akahori, over 20 years ago.
半蔵とその兄が勝負を挑んだ時、赤堀は確か50近かったはず。さすがにあんな若いわけがないって気づいたんでしょ。
Akahori would have been about 50 when Hanzo and his older brother challenged him to a duel. Maybe he realized he couldn't possibly be that young.
あいつ、霊体でずっと俺たちのこと監視していたみたいだし。
Seems like he's been watching us in spirit form this whole time. But if he has been watching you in spirit form, then that means he's on the base. Does that mean he couldn't show his face? Like he had to stay like invisible? Because Blightfall aren't allowed in the bases. At least that's what you guys told me. I'm trusting the game. Neither Miyagi nor I could think of anything to say in response to what Yoichi matter-of-factly pointed out. But when I whipped my head up like I'd come to my senses, now was not the time to be depressed.
状況を整理しようか。源十郎は江戸から出て行ったそうだけど、その行き先はわかるかな？
Let's analyze the situation, shall we? Genjuro seems to have left Ito. Any idea where he's headed? Yes, he has. Since Hanzo's a Blightfall, he's been leaving tracks behind just like before if we follow them.
なるほど。なら今のうちに終えるところまででいいから足跡の追跡をしてもらおうか。
Yeah,
ヨイチも
Yoichi,
彼女についていってくれるかな？
you just got out of work. You wanna follow me around now? We should follow them as far as they go while we still can. Could you trace his steps? And Yoichi, could you join her?
わかった。
Got it.
その間に俺はOniwabanのみんなに知らせておくよ。
Meanwhile, I'll let the
万が一の
rest
事
of the
態に備えて
Oniwaban know.
江戸と千代田城の守りを固める必要があるからね。
We need to prepare for the worst case scenario and shore up our protection of Ito and Chidoya Castle. What? Shore up? I've never heard that phrase before. The worst case scenario. Right, it wouldn't be strange at all if that happened. It already couldn't get much worse.
それじゃあ、
As long
任
as
せて
you're honest with yourself. Couldn't get much worse, but it could get worse. She's at least acknowledging that it's not the worst. This is the worst thing that ever happened. I'm counting on you then. With that, we promptly went our separate ways. The next
片ちび
day,
とは全て捕獲しろ。起き上がる前に全て片付けるんだ。
arrest all the form folk off them before they all get back up. Another new and unusual event had taken place in Ito. Countless form folk were collapsed on the side of the road, not moving a single muscle even after constables had tied them up with rope. It was like they had been turned back into secret, silent objects. For those of you who don't know, form folks it's basically the Velveteen Rabbit, where if you love something so much, it becomes real. Form folk are created by items, then turned into people. So that's why they're called form folks, and they have a special item that they were created from, which they can die if you break it. And this bad guy in this specific game was using form folk to basically be evil. It's the easiest way to put it. He was evil. So he was taking control of their bodies and making them do things they wouldn't normally do. So now the entire town's like, they suck. Let's get rid of them. These were the form folks who had been causing trouble. Although it seemed obvious, the the constable and volunteer police would seize the opportunity to
ちょ
arrest
っ
them.
とどういうことなんですか？捕らえるだけだなんて。また暴れ回ったりしたら責任取れるの？
What do you mean you're just arresting them? Will you hold yourself responsible if they start going berserk
今の
again?
うちに寄付だなり道具なり壊しちまえばいいんじゃないか？
Should we destroy their wooden tags and objects while we still can? The wooden tag has their name written on it. If you destroy that, they turn back into their object. If you destroy the object, you destroy the form folk entirely. They can become people again if their object isn't destroyed. They just get a new tag. So that's the basis of what they're saying right now. It might be confusing, sorry. Citizens gave me a few bits of unsettling advice. Gave a few bits of unsettling advice while the police carried on. There was no telling when the form folk might wake up and start acting out. They were probably desperate to alleviate the concern. This wasn't the only place I caught conversations like this either. I saw them happening all over Edo.
こんなにピリピリしている江戸、初めて見たかも。
Think I've ever seen Edo this on edge. Yeah. Yoichi and I stood still, watching the confusion going on around us in town. While watching people walk past to arrest form folk out of the corner of my eye, I secretly attempt to perform So Sacrament on the form folk. But it had no effect. They were still asleep. In fact, it was so ineffective that it didn't even make a dent in the number of black threads wrapped around their bodies. Why?
源十郎が江戸から離れたからでしょう。半蔵の支配下からは逃れられたけど、同時に自分の体を制御する権利も失ってるんじゃない？
Probably because Genjuro left Edo. They may have escaped Hanzo's grip, but they still don't have control over their own bodies.
つまり今の形人たちは文楽人形みたいなものなんだよ。操る者がいなくなっただけだから自立もできない。
They're essentially puppets right now. They've just lost their puppet master. They have no autonomy either. Meaning unless we defeat Hanzo, they'll never return to normal.
そういうこと。で、半蔵の足跡は間違いなくここから先に続いているわけ。
On that note, Hanzo's footprints definitely continue on up ahead, right? Right? My eyes could see this, that his tracks led away from Edo. We're still in Edo, actually. I just realized this. They said, hey, go follow those tracks. We still haven't left the town. The sun's up now. I checked last night, but it was hard to distinguish his footprints from normal emotional imprints in the moonlight, so we came to take another look. Thank you for explaining while you waited for the sun to come up. The footprints must have been affected by Hanzo's growing control over Kuga, because the further down they got from the base, the deeper and more distinct they became. In which case, we would be able to trace these steps all the way to Hanzo.
じゃあ、一旦拠点へ帰ろうか。
How about we head back to the base for now? After verifying, we head over to the base. And when we arrived...
帰ってきたか？
You're back. Yoshido, hi! The rest of the Oniwaban were there, waiting for us to return. What ending are you going for first? I usually try to get the good ending first, unless obviously it's Virtue Evermore, which doesn't let you have that until after. My route so far has been the good answers, and then I'm going to go back through and get the bad answers. I don't know if this is going to be like the previous route. There was 3 endings. The reason I made that second save was because the other ending was based on the snow falling and not the emotional flowers. So I was curious if that was linked to that one. But we'll see how we do. I usually let it play out however it's going to play out the first route. I've gotten bad endings thinking I'm going to get the good ones before, so I could surprise myself. Everything could turn terrible. They'd all come because now that Hanzo, or rather Kuga, had left Edo, we no longer needed to guard form folk who might serve as containers.
半蔵の足跡はやはり江戸の外へと続いていたか？
Did Hanzo's tracks lead out of Edo? Yes, I'm absolutely sure of it. We weren't able to determine where they went afterwards, though.
そうか。ではやるべきことは決まっているな。
I see. We know what we need to do then.
これよりお前たちに半蔵の討伐を命ずる。上役を除いた全員で半蔵の残した痕跡を追っていってくれ。
Kyoshido, you were my favorite, and now you're dropping fast. I hereby command you to take Hanzo down. You are to follow the tracks he left while we 3 captains stay behind.
その間、
江戸の守護は我々3名と表のお庭番で協力して行っていく。今となってはそれしか方法がない。
Meanwhile, we'll work together with the public Oniwaban to safeguard Ito. At this point, that's our only option.
話は分かりました。
Kenji,
そ
I've
れで
missed you.
半蔵を退治するための仮の器は用意できたのですか？
Understood, sir. Incidentally, were you able to prepare the temporary container we'll be using to get rid of Hanzo?
安心しろ。ここにある。
Relax, it's right here. Oh, look how cute. It just looks like a mannequin. Yabuda gripped a small doll in his hand as he said this. Around the doll's neck was a wooden tag with the name Hanzo Ishii carved into it.
使い方は簡単だ。半蔵を久我から追い出したところで、この人型を霊体にぶつけてみろ。
It's easy to use. Once you evicted Hanzo from Kuga's body, throw the doll at him while he's in spirit form.
そうすれば自然に半蔵の魂が人型に吸い込まれるはずだ。
Doing so should cause Hanzo's soul to be sucked into it automatically. If you're telling me it was that easy to get rid of Hanzo, bro.
ずいぶん簡単な仕掛けなんですね。
Kenji also agrees with me. A rather simple device. But if Hanzo doesn't leave Kuga's body?
決まっている。Genjuroごと半蔵を切り捨てるしかない。これ以上半蔵を好きにさせては被害がどんどん広がっていく。
It goes without saying, Genjuro will have to be slain along with Hanzo. There will be even more harm done if we let Hanzo have his way.
江戸どころかこの国中の形人が半蔵の手に落ちるかもしれない。そうなればこの国は終わりだ。
Formfolk all around the country might fall into Hanzo's hands, not just here in Ito, and if that happens, the country is doomed. Kyoshido's response reminded me of what I had seen in town earlier. Before, when things were peaceful, human and formfolk alike lived together in harmony. People readily calling out to one another on the streets, people happily chatting away after bumping into each other at izakayas. I loved that Ito too. Those things were unimaginable in the current state Ito was in. However, the thought of this hopeless sight spreading outside of the capital made my chest tighten. I couldn't possibly sacrifice Kuga to keep that from happening. I'd seen it coming to a certain extent, but it was still a massive shock hearing it said out loud. No, I won't allow that to happen to him. I'll save him before it comes down to that.
頼んだよ、みんな。
Thank you for your help, guys. Miyagi must have felt the same way I did. But that was all he said, sensing that there were many different thoughts packed into this brief sentence. We all nodded in agreement. Dun dun, dun dun. Afterwards, I immediately left Ito with the rest of the Oniwaban. As much as I wanted to make my horse go full sprint, I knew that that wouldn't fly. I wouldn't be able to reliably follow Hanzo's tracks if I did, so we couldn't make them go any faster than a brisk walk, even though we were all on horseback. I also couldn't ride a horse by myself, so I was sitting behind Yoichi, who was carrying the doll that would serve as a temporary container for Hanzo. I hope Kuga's okay. I'm sure he's all alone, desperately trying to hang on right now. He looked like he was suffering so much.
それにしても心の封印が解けるとは一体どんな感覚なんでしょうね。
Kenji, you're gonna know soon enough. Don't you worry. You're 2 routes away from you. Nevertheless, I wonder what it feels like to have the seal of your heart come undone. We continue making our way down the road, following the footprints that seemed to go on forever. Meanwhile, Kenji started up a conversation for once. Huh?
キンジ、そういうの気になるの？
You curious about that, Kenji? Otaro says, as he's clearly the evil guy who already has his heart unlocked or something to that effect.
まあそれなりにですかね。僕はこの中では最年長にあたりますが、それらしい予兆すら感じたことがありませんので。
Kenji's the oldest? When did that become canon? I suppose I am. Yes, I'm the eldest of us here, and yet I've not once had the slightest inkling something like that might happen.
ああ、
それは俺も同じかな。だから源十郎がこうなったのには正直驚いたよ。
True, me neither. Me neither? Me neither? I'm honestly shocked that it happened to Kuga. It happened to you too, Tojo.
封印なんて大層な言い方してるけど、実際それほどでもないってことじゃない？ま、俺は心なんてないままの方がいいけど。
Words are fun. Oh my god, they're so fun. The longer I play, the more I start stumbling through it. And yesterday was like a 6-hour stream of it, and I was like, oh man, I'm dying. A seal sounds impressive, but they're not really. I'm fine without a heart though. I couldn't do that. Oh man, I like it because it keeps me emoting. I've learned when I play, like when I was playing Death's Door, I was trying to make clips and stuff. I'm still trying to become better about making clips of things, by the way. And I'm watching myself, and I hate watching myself, and I'm just sitting here like glaring at this game because Death's Door was way too friggin' hard. And I thought it was just a cute little game where I gotta be a little crow getting souls and stuff. Instead, it's a Souls-like game with a cute little crow getting souls and stuff with like 4 hits and you're dead for every boss battle, and I could not. So I was almost like, oh man, this is the worst. God. In the one you watched me play, the Yomawari, that one was also, it was 1 hit and dead, and you had to start over. I had so many parts in that game where I was losing my mind. Oh my goodness. I was so excited to play it too because it looked so cute, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll go back and get the rest of the collectibles. And then part of me was all like, I never want to go back. I never want to go back there. A still sounds impressive, but they're not really. I'm fine without a heart though. Yoichi, you're gonna get your heart back next. Don't you worry. You are? I found myself joining the conversation drawn in by how assertively Yoichi had said this. You've been there? Oh my goodness. I hate Souls games. I say it so much. Like anytime someone's like, how's Elden Ring? I'm like, I would not know, man. I've watched some videos of it. There's some beautiful characters in that. I will never play it.
当たり前じゃん。例えば今回だって、優しい心で考えたら、家族を殺されて良いかになった半蔵が、かわいそうだとも言えるでしょ?
Of course, like take all this, thinking about it with a kind heart or whatever, you'll feel bad for Hanzo, who's a blightfall because his family was murdered.
っていうか、あんたは今もそんなこと考えてそうだよな。源十郎がこんな風になっちゃってんのに。
Otaro's so the great. He's like, you mean exactly like how she's feeling right now? That would suck. All right, so basically how Leah's probably feeling right now, despite what happened to Genjuro. Well, hearing them point out something I'd been trying not to think about left me at a loss for words, but that was all. It's okay. Now's not the time to care about Hanzo's situation anymore. Not when it's made life hell for Kuga and all the form folk. Besides, many more people will be sad if we don't intervene. Not exactly the kind of situation where you can sympathize with them.
ですが、
You can sympathize
心
with
の
them,
片
it's
隅
fine.
に少しでも同情があるのだとしたら、とどめを刺すときに手元が狂いそうですね。
Oh, Kenji, don't say things like that. That said, if you do feel any kind of sympathy for Hanzo deep down, it could cause you to miss when dealing the finishing blow.
そう考えると、Oniwabanや貴子としての役目を果たすためには、心はない方が便利かもな。
Seeing the previous love interest for the first time in the next route is like, shoot, there's my ex, but he doesn't remember me. That's so true. Tojo's over here acting like we didn't fall in love once. Like, how could you? When you think about it that way, not having a heart is much more convenient for carrying out our duties as vessels. Yeah, but you didn't seem to mind last week.
だよな。俺もそう思う。
For sure. Otaro, you need to calm down, okay? You're evil. Like, look at him. He even looks evil. He's so cute, but he's so evil at the same time. I think I've said this already. I want to get earbuds so that I can make my hair cute and stuff better, so it's more obvious, because I'm going to try and do ponytails and piggy tails. I try to make my hair look like theirs when I'm doing their games and stuff. Right now I'm dressed for cold weather because I went outside to get Dutch Bros. And I can only wear this sweater in wintertime. Like, it has to be actually cold outside for me to wear this, because this is the warmest jacket I've ever owned in my whole life, and I didn't think it would be because it's that really soft material. I thought it wouldn't. I thought coldness would just like go through this, and it does not. What have I done to Kuga? Oh, girl, did you just realize you're a monster? I thought I was doing him a favor by teaching him what it meant to worry and talking to him about his feelings. I like the different outfits you had trying to match the characters too. Thank you. I try really hard. I didn't today only because I'm working this afternoon, but I'm definitely trying to get like the colors as close as I can. I need to literally get more outfits to make it match better. But some of my goth stuff really worked out for the Virgie Evermore, since it was a very gothic-centric game. I plan on doing a review for that game. I'm still writing the script for it. It's going to be my first review. I'm also taking notes on this one too. So I'm going to see if I like that format. It was suggested to me, so I'm going to see if I can manage it. I'm not sure. Yay, let's go. We're going to see how I do it. I've never done reviews before, so my script for Virtue is like 5 pages long. My script for Winter's Witch, because I'm actually writing it as I play, like I'll write my thoughts after I finish my stream, is almost 6 pages, and I'm not even halfway through the game, so it's definitely probably what I'll do further. I bet it'll be awesome. Trico, you're too nice to me. I thought I was doing him a favor by teaching him what it meant to worry and talking to him about his feelings. In the end, all I'd done was expose him to danger, and you knew that going into this. You were plain innocent, but you knew. Just thinking about it filled me with regret.
Kuga-san wa dou datta no?
This is also very Star Wars centered in a way, because they're basically Jedi Knights, because they're not supposed to have emotions. They're not supposed to convey emotions. And so literally the dark side is having feelings. How was Kuga when it happened? Tomonari, don't ask those kind of questions. Huh?
封印が解けた時、嫌がってた。
When the seal broke, did he dislike it? Ah. No, he was happy. I did it! No, he was happy. Right, he could. How could I have forgotten that? How did I forget how happy I've been to seeing him so overjoyed?
本当か。嬉しいものなのか。
Really? Happy? Huh.
今は想像するだけでゾッとしますけどね。しかし僕たちがこんな風に思うのも封印のなせる技なんでしょうか。
I shudder at the mere thought of it, but perhaps the fact that we feel that way is but another technique to keep our seals in place.
じゃあ封印が解けたら他にも今は感じないことたくさん感じるのかもしれない。
You'd probably feel a lot of things you'd never felt before if your seal broke.
めんどいのとお腹減った以外に？
Yoichi, I love you so much. You mean other than being annoyed or hungry? I feel like those are my 2 emotions to you, my friend.
俺もこまめにもう少し好かれたいって思うこと以外にしたいことや欲しいものができるんだろうか。
You think I'd start wanting things besides getting Komame to like me?
初体を持ちたいとか遊郭とかも行きたいなって思うようになったりして今は興味ないけど。
Otaro, you went a different route with this. What? Like having a family of your own? We might even feel like going to the red light district. I have 0 interest in either of those things now, though. So I seem to be having a lot of fun talking about this for people who just said they didn't need hearts. To them, this was probably nothing more than a way to kill some time. Based on how much the conversation had picked up, the vessels were a bit curious. What they'd be like after regaining their hearts.
久我さんに直接聞いてみたいよね。
I'd love to ask Kuga myself. Love? That's an emotion, Tomonari. You get that word out of your mouth. Tomonari said this rather casually. Oh, I just gotta screenshot that. They're all together. I watched the rest of the vessels nod along in agreement as I thought to myself. I have no idea if Kuga's still glad that the seal on his heart's broken after all what happened, but whether he regretted it or was still thankful, I'd made up my mind I was going to rescue Kuga and I would accept however he felt. Oh, my stars. Oh yeah, I did say for my last stream, I'll probably put my kimono on. I own a kimono. I bought it forever ago. It's been living in a drawer with a packet, what do you call it? So that it doesn't get mold. I don't know what the right word is. Silica packet. I kept one of those from one of my bags to put with it. I'm like, just because I don't know when I'll wear you next. I honestly don't know if I own an obi though. I remember when I bought it, I couldn't find an obi that I liked. And I can't remember if I finally bought an obi or if I bought the fabric to make an obi. We'll see how it goes. A few days later, my kimono though is black because I got it specifically because I was going to try and do a Hell Girl cosplay. Wait, is this? Following Hanzo's footprints had... Oh my goodness. Following Hanzo's footprints had led us to the foot of the mountains where I once lived with my father and Mimi a long time ago. She lived a week away. Are you for real? I took a quick peek, but the village seemed peaceful to me. There was no huge commotion going on, and since they didn't catch sight of me, they weren't out on the streets screaming. Hanzo didn't seem to have any effect here since there was no farm folk around.
やっぱりここに着いたか。もしかしてとは思ってたんだが。
Why would you assume that? I don't even think I would have assumed he had gone this far. So this is where he went, huh? Somehow I figured he'd come here. He could have tied himself to a tree. Hear me out.
何？どういうこと？
Wait, what do you mean?
この先の山から彼女を連れてきたんだよ。
The mountain up ahead is where we went to pick up Leah.
つまり、源十郎はわざわざお嬢さんの故郷へ逃げ込んだということですか？
Are you saying Genjuro intentionally sought refuge in this young woman's hometown? Sorry, Kenji, you sound so much more eloquent than I did just now. He might have. Hanzo's footprints also lead into the mountains where I used to live.
うわ、意味わかんねえ。とりあえず馬はその辺に繋いで、さっさと登ってみるか。
Man, that makes zero sense to me. Anyways, why don't we tie up our horses and head up there for now? Sure. Seriously, what could this mean? Also, it snows where she's at all the time. She lives on a mountain that's got snow at the top of it, and she only is used to seeing snow, which means they are not dressed for snow weather. What could this mean? I talked a little bit about my hometown with Kuga, but never told him where it was. Are you related to him?
寒いんだけど。ていうか、この季節に雪って降るの？
I'm glad they instantly were like, oh man, she's right, it is cold up here. It's cold. Does it normally snow here this time of year? It's always been like that here, but don't worry, his footsteps haven't been covered by the snow. I don't think he was worried about the snow prints. I followed them with my eyes as I said this when... There he is, just meditating. I smiled at the person we'd been looking for this entire time. He was in front of the shrine I used to pray to daily when I lived here alone. He must have been worn out because he was sitting up against the shrine and his eyes were shut tight. In fact, unless he had a horse, I'm not sure how he got here so much further ahead of us. With his eyes closed again. Yeah, he likes to meditate. He's thinking internally a lot. Kuga! I made my way towards him, desperately pushing my way through the accumulated snow. Leah? How long had Kuga been sitting there completely still? His body was covered in snow. They could have animated some of that. I brushed it away in a hurry as the rest of the group arrived shortly after.
お嬢さん、すごいですね。この歩きにくい道をやすやすと。
Impressive, young miss. You made walking down this path seem trivial.
よかった。源十郎、 まだ話せるんだな。
What a relief, Genjuro can still talk.
半蔵は出て行ってくれたなんて都合のいいことはないよな。
Where's Hanzo? He wouldn't just leave on his own. That'd be way too convenient.
ああ、あいつは今も私の中にいる。
Indeed, he's still inside of me.
どうやら半蔵に力を与えた神はこの土地に縁ある存在のようだ。半蔵の意志は迷うことなく私をここへ向かわせた。
It seems like the god who gave him his powers has some sort of connection to this place. Hanzo willed me into coming here without any hesitation whatsoever. Okay, so we know that she got her, I don't know, Shimagami eyes. I can't remember what they're called right now. From her mom. Is her dad a Blightfall? I thought her dad was a vessel turned human, but what if her dad was actually a Blightfall and her dad's the god? Am I making things way too complicated? I am. Willed me to come here without any hesitation whatsoever. What? The god of this shrine helped Hanzo? I could hardly believe it, since this shrine had been a comfort to me when I lived here all by myself. This friggin' shrine was against me my whole life, and I didn't know.
半蔵は今この社から力を得ている最中らしい。実際こうしているだけで
Kuga,
体の
why don't you
力が膨れ上がるような
step away from the shrine, my guy? Hanzo is in the process of gaining strength from the shrine, it seems. I can sense his powers growing inside me just sitting here.
この場から離れなくてはならないとは分かっているのだが体が言うことを聞かない。
I know I have to get away from here, but my body won't listen. Thank you for explaining, Kuga. I needed that. As he said this, Kuga's ice cold hands gave mine a firm squeeze.
注ぎをしてくれ。半蔵を止めなければ。
Leah, perform the soul sacrament on me. Did I say it right? Oh god, you must stop Hanzo. Okay. I clasped both hands around Kuga's, then prayed with all my might. I pray that Hanzo leaves Kuga's body. Oh, that was weak. Any luck, Leah? I'm not sure. I'm not getting any response, but I'll keep trying. You gotta pray deeper than that.
私は半蔵と旅している間、断片的にだが、あいつの心の中を見た。
Leah, while traveling with Hanzo, I saw into his heart, if only bits and
あい
pieces.
つの心は、すでに失った家族を思う気持ちより、私への復讐心と憎しみに染め上げられている。
His heart is already filled with far more hatred and vengeful thoughts than any feeling about losing his family.
心というのは、温かいが悲しいものだな。己の手ではどうもできない。耐え難い苦しみから立ち直ろうともがくあまり、
Poor Kuga, he's getting all the emotions in one day.
本来の自分さえ見失う。
Hearts, though kind and warm, they can be a sad thing to have. Losing sight of yourself, struggling to recover from unbearable pain, powerless to do anything.
半蔵の望みは、私を痛めつけることだけだ。
Hanzo's only wish is to harm
そ
me.
のために私の体で悪事を働こうとして、準備が整ったら、洗脳した形人たちを使い、人間を襲わせるつもりらしい。
To do that, he's been trying to do terrible things using my body. Once he's ready, he's planning to use the brainwashed form folk to attack humans. But if that were to happen,
どこもかしこも形人と人間の戦状態になるだろうな。当然負の感情も溜まって俺たちには不利な状況になる。
a war between humans and form folk would break out all over. Negative emotions would also build up, putting us in a pretty bad situation. I can't let something that horrible happen to people I care about like Mimi and Mitsu.
お嬢さん、あまりよろしくないですよ。 日が傾き始めています。
Miss, this isn't good. The sun is beginning to set. Kinji, don't remind me that his powers get better at night, okay? I gasped when Kinji pointed this out. And in an instant, the sun set. It was only then that I realized the snow clouds covering the sky were starting to darken. We're out of time. Kill Kuga. Push him down the well. Is there a well at the shrine? I don't remember.
私を生かそうなどと思わなくていい。そんな気遣いをしていては勝てない相手だ。
Yeah, Kuga's know what's down.
器としての私を
Don't worry about keeping me
破壊
alive.
する覚悟だ。
You won't be able to defeat him if you do. Be prepared to destroy his container, aka me.
私の代わりに半蔵を止めてくれ。そして救ってくれ。赤堀と同じ罪をあいつに背負わせたくない。
Stop Hanzo for me and save him. Don't burden him with the same crimes as Akahori. Kuga, we couldn't possibly. Just then, my hands were knocked back by a blast. It happened so suddenly that I wasn't able to defend myself, so I was knocked to the ground. Tomonari helped me out. When I looked up, leaning on him for support. He looks so cute when he's evil. Wow. What a cutie. Honestly, you're hopeless, Genjuro Kuga. Who said I wanted to be saved? Kuga was the one standing there. Them eyeshadows though. Yeah, he got some nice eyeshadow. This is his emo phase. But it seemed different from before. Sinister black threads, unique to Blightfall, covered his entire body, yet he didn't seem to be struggling like he had earlier. Part of his face was also covered by a characteristically Blightfall mask. Kuga had been completely possessed by Hanzo. It's not a phase, Mom. Oh goodness, that's so true. That's definitely the vibe, honestly. He's already got dark clothes on. I mean, it's right on brand for him. And he likes to live with his arms crossed. Ooh, I just noticed the threads on his neck. Okay. Yeah, he's changing. You vessels probably think nothing of killing Genjiro, but I have him here inside me and he doesn't feel the same way. He's having a great time, honestly. So to kick off my revenge plot, I'll have Genjiro experience what it's like to kill his friends with his own two hands. That'll make for great entertainment. Aww, I gotta screenshot all of it because he's just so happy. Hanzo whispered this gleefully, all while drawing the tachi at his hip. Just as Kuga pointed out earlier, his goal was to make everyone hate him. Why? Why do you hate Kuga so much even though you know you have the wrong guy? Kuga's the sword your master owned. You're taking your anger out on the wrong... I know. The look in Hanzo's eyes as he stared in my direction was bone-chillingly cold. I had sometimes found myself slightly taken aback by the lack of warmth in Kuga's expression when his heart had still been sealed, but his stare now was far colder. Genjiro Kuga isn't Akahori, that's the undeniable truth. But have a look at his face. There's no way he would look like this if he hadn't inherited a large part of Akahori's soul.
男が残したものがこうして残っていること自体に我慢できないんだよ。
Apologize, I thought you were done. Sorry. I can't stand seeing anything he left remaining.
危ない、お嬢さん。
Young miss, watch out. Oh my gosh, he looks so cute. He's got 2 knives. That hand looks strange, but I guess that's accurate if you're holding it, but it's the way he's holding it. You know what? He's a slasher. That's right. You know what? You put it against... No, that's wrong. My brain's not doing this. Hang on. I got this. Yeah, I guess. He's got the knives that you go like this with. They're on your outside of your arm. Did he save my life? Hanzo swung the sword in his hand mere moments after shouting this. Kinji intercepted his attack without missing a beat. The battle had finally begun.
重いですね。
Solid swing.
キンジさん、援護する。
I got your back, Kinji.
何人来ようと同じことよ。
Doesn't matter how many of you come at me, it makes no difference. Shockingly, Hanzo appeared to be going toe-to-toe with the elite warriors of the Oniwaban. He was also using pure swordsmanship instead of resorting to the cheap tricks he used in the past battles. His moves were one I had seen Kuga use many times. Hanzo and Kuga's bodies seemed to be fairly compatible. They're rift compatible. Oh my god. Why you... Too slow. I attempted to slash him any chance I could, but I didn't even leave a scratch, clearly demonstrating the difference in strength between Hanzo, no, Kuga, and I.
本当なら峰打ちとかにしたいけど。
To be honest, I was kind of hoping to use the blunt edge of my sword.
そんな余裕ないよ。とにかく作戦を実行するために半蔵を弱らせないと。
Can't afford to do that. We have to weaken Hanzo to execute our plan. Like Tomonari said, our only option right now was to weaken Kuga's body as much as possible and oust Hanzo from his container. Doing so would bring us back to our original plan. I was saying it right, but my brain just had a moment. Once we trapped Hanzo inside the doll, we'll be able to destroy him. Before that, we had to deal with the situation we currently had on our hands, being overpowered by Hanzo.
いいぞ。体の奥底からどんどん力が湧いてくる。源十郎、お前の体、実に馴染むぞ。
But it seems like you'd have to get used to that face in the mirror every morning. You seem to hate this face. Love it. I can feel the power welling up within. Man, Genjuro, I could really get used to being in your body. Get down, everyone. The second I yelled, Hanzo swung his tachi in the huge circle. Tomonari, oh my god, Tomonari. Otaro, I love you, but like, are you okay? I don't know. Only a few of them reacted to my cry. The 2 who were late on the uptake were sliced by the air blades launched from Hanzo's sword. These 2 are the 2 you have to unlock, and they are slow, is what I'm understanding. It was Hanzo's signature move, the Kamatachi.
Otaro, Tomonari!
Otaro, Tomonari. Oh, he's got blood now. Wait, that happened so fast. He's bleeding everywhere. Tomonari was on his hands and knees after being sent flying through the air, fresh blood gushing from his mouth. He seemed to have just barely avoided a fatal injury, but he had been deeply wounded. I could tell from a single glance that he wouldn't be able to fight anymore. Then Otaru must also be... I couldn't see him because he was buried in the snow, but if he wasn't moving a single muscle, he probably wasn't going to say anything either. I hope he's not knocked unconscious.
いいぞ。思った通りだ。頭の中に源十郎が苦しむ声が響き渡っている。
Now, I know it hasn't been confirmed that Otaro is evil. I'm just convinced he's evil because in Tojo's route, he disappeared. So I feel like maybe this is him quietly pulling back, either because he's not injured at all and he doesn't want them to realize that he wasn't injured, because that'd be weird, wouldn't it? Or he's influenced by dark threads. Either is possible. I knew it. I can hear your anguished cries in my head, Genjuro. Who's next on the chopping block? Isn't this a blast, Genjuro Kuga? Tojo, oh no. Meanwhile, things were so tense on the Oniwaban side that you could cut the air with a knife. But of course it was. The battle had barely begun and 2 Oniwaban had already been taken down.
どうする？このままじゃまずいよ。人数が減ったし、一気に勝負をつけないと。
What now? This isn't looking good. We're down a few people, and if we don't win this soon.
でも、あの居合がくせ者だな。不用意に近づけば、一瞬にして真っ二つにされちまう。
The tricky thing is he's quick draw. If we aren't careful when you get close to him, he'll slice you in half in a blink of an eye. Maybe we should just knock him out. Kinji? Then Kinji glanced backwards. Half buried in the snow behind him was a giant boulder.
いい考えがあります。二人とも僕の後についてきてください。お嬢さんは少し離れたところで待機を。
I have an idea. You two follow me, please. Young miss, if you could kindly wait some distance away.
は？いいけど、なんで？
Sure, but why?
仲間が倒れたのに、ずいぶん余裕だな。おしゃべりをしている暇があるのか？
You guys seem pretty relaxed despite being down a few members. You even got time to sit around and chat? Oh no. I can take a better photo of his mask now. Before Kinji could finish telling us everything, Hanzo rushed in and attacked by quick drawing his sword. Watch out!
皆さん。
Here we go! Kinji dodged in the nick of time, then picked up the boulder behind him. Just when I wondered what he was going to do with it, Kinji threw the boulder. And Kenji threw the sizable rock as hard as he could with his superhuman strength that soared through the air like an arrow, boosted by its own immense weight. It hurtled straight towards Hanzo.
何をするのかと思ったら、天下の鬼ババンも大したことないな。
I wondered what you'd do with that, but it's nothing for the famed Oniwaban. Hanzo pulverized the boulder with a quick draw and a sneer on his face. It was all over, or at least it should have been.
バカ力だとは思ってたけど、こんな岩一人で投げられる？
Is Kinji Lucas? Is that confirmed? I knew he was ridiculously strong, but to pick up a rock that big all by himself.
でも、これで間合いに入れた。一気に叩きのめすぞ。
But now we're within striking distance. Beat the living daylights out of him. What the? Yoichi and Tojo jumped out from the shadows of the boulder Hanzo had just smashed into pieces. That must have been Kinji's plan all along. Blocking Hanzo's field of view with the boulder allowed Yoichi and Tojo to remain hidden in its shadows. Hitting him with the rock would have been good too. Even if the rocks were smashed into smithereens, they were within range to take him down with a single strike. And since Hanzo had just attacked with a quick draw, he couldn't immediately counter it with an attack of his own. Now the two of them could take Hanzo down.
任せましたよ。二人とも。
I leave this in your capable hands, fellows. But then...
ふざけるな。その程度で俺がやられるとでも思ったか。
Quit screwing around. You seriously thought that'd be enough to take me down? Oh no! Oh gosh. In an instant, black shockwaves emitted from Hanzo, who stood at the epicenter. In the blink of an eye, Yoichi and Tojo, who had just closed in on Hanzo, were knocked back by shockwaves that appeared out of nowhere. He wasn't even swinging his sword at them. Yoichi and Tojo were both knocked to the ground after being blasted at such a close range. At the same time, it was the same attack he had used just once before when we had him cornered.
俺がお上品な剣術だけを使うだなんて誰が言った？良いかとしての技だって使えるんだよ。
Who said Impeccable swords. I started to say imbecile. That whole my brain was like, I'm like, it's not that. Who said impeccable swordsmanship was the only trick I had up my sleeve? I can use Blightfall moves too, you know? Let's see it then. Up until this point, Hanzo had never been able to use moves like these one after another. Having a perfectly compatible container like Kuga seemed to be allowing him to go above and beyond his own abilities. Kenji, what do we do? It's settled. We have no other choice. Right at that moment, Kenji took out his sword once more and charged towards Hanzo. It's swords. Thank you. He's got two. You don't know when to quit. You're getting real desperate now. You're planning on killing them all. Why wouldn't they keep fighting you? From then on, a one-on-one fight unfolded between Kenji and Hanzo. As they went sword to sword, Kenji got in more blows, but Hanzo parried them all. In fact, he was steadily giving Kenji one cut after another every chance he could. Oh no! This isn't over. A normal person would have collapsed by now, but Kenji fought back like a wild demon. Thanks to his persistence, he was also slowly but surely inflicting damage on Hanzo. Of course, there was no way I could step in. The moment I did, it would all be for naught. Something's not right here. How are you still standing after taking so many hits? Because I have a reason to win this. I'm not about to let you have your way. Why, you little... Hanzo then emitted more black shockwaves like the kind that had knocked Yoichi and Tojo back. Oh gosh. Though not a lethal wound by any means, it was still enough to distract Kenji. Oh no, Kenji! Die! Oh no. Then Kenji took the full force of his quick draw slash at point blank range. No. Even Kenji wasn't able to withstand that attack. He fell to the ground completely limp. Is this the bad route? Did I mess up? Did I say something wrong earlier? And like, we're on the bad route and I just didn't. Kenji! Kenji! Should I have chosen the other option? Kenji! What a bunch of fools. All you meddling did was hasten your death. Not dead yet? Doesn't matter. Same difference if you can't stand in my way on your own anymore. Honestly, he's giving mad zombie vibes, if I'm being honest. Well, that leaves you now, doesn't it? I honestly couldn't bring myself to respond when Hanzo spoke to me. I had no clue what to do in a completely hopeless situation like this. Even though I had my dagger at the ready, my mind was in utter shambles. You just killed 5, well, they're not dead. You just hurt 5 guys with swords. And you're like, ooh, you're shaking, little girl. She's not powerful. Like, that's not even a good taunt. Like, she's not strong. She knows. So mean. Your hands are shaking. That reminds me, I owe you one. What? It's all thanks to you that I managed to get my hands on Genjiro's body in the first place, you know? Weren't you the one who brought his heart back? Don't remind me. I'm so sorry, Hanzo, that you have a cold, dead heart, but I would have gone your route too if it was an option. I was watching the entire time you had that heartwarming conversation. I can't believe that was what triggered it.
俺もうっかり泣きそうだったさ。
It was so touching.
笑い泣きだけどな。
It nearly brought me to tears. Tears of laughter, obviously.
そんなお前が死んだら久我源十郎はどう思うかな。しかも自分自身の手で殺したと分かったら。
She's just like slowly backing away. I was like, that's crazy, man. How would Genjuro Kuga feel if you died? And if he knew he had killed you with his own 2 hands too?
ダメだ。想像するだけで顔がにやけてきた。
I mean, sometimes you need a reason to smile. So you know what, Hanzo, good for you. Just picturing it makes me smile. Hanzo approached one step at a time as he muttered all of this. All I could do was watch. I was so nervous and so much shock that my body wouldn't budge. Right, I have to. I have to save. Yoichi! Leah, run. I heard Yoichi's faint voice from beside me where he was lying on the ground. He couldn't even get up, and yet he was worried about me. Was he, though? I don't know. I mean, yeah, he said your name. But more like he knows. The moment I saw Yoichi look so feeble, all fear-ridden thoughts were completely wiped from my mind. Run? I definitely can't win against Hanzo, no Kuga. But if I run away now, it would all be over. I couldn't possibly do that. Hanzo was right. I was the one who had started all of this. I caused Kuga's heart to awaken. I couldn't deny that. I gave Hanzo the opportunity to possess Kuga, meaning if I don't take responsibility for this at the bitter end, who will? I was absolutely going to get Kuga back. Strangely, Yoichi's plea got me fired up. Yeah! I readied my dagger in my grip once more and immediately charged at Hanzo. You still have the nerve to take me on? Hanzo smiled, positively delighted to see this. He took up his own blade and effortlessly hammered his sword into my dagger. Though he clearly hadn't put much force into his attack, his blade felt terribly heavy when it made contact. I barely managed to fend it off, but that was one strike made my arm hurt so bad it almost felt like I might break. My arm was numb from my shoulder to my fingertips. All I could do was try not to drop my dagger. You're weak. I'm cutting you some slack, you know. Give Kuga back. Kuga wouldn't want this at all. That's all you got. I promptly flipped my blade over and attempted to aim for his vitals, but Hanzo reacted with almost superhuman quickness and dodged my attack. It must have just been a difference in skill, obviously. As desperate as I was, he didn't have a single scratch on him. I still couldn't give up. Don't give in, Kuga. Don't hand yourself over to someone like him after you just got yourself back. I'll save you. Oh, shut up. Yeah. Just then, Hanzo casually lifted his foot and kicked me right in the pit of my stomach. The blow took me by surprise. I crumpled on top of the snow, and I'm assuming had the wind knocked out of me, so I'm gasping for air at this point. Cough, cough. I don't know how I feel about that one. You know, it would be kinda cute if you just ran away like a good little girl. You can call him all you want, but it's no use. Genjuro Kuga will never surface again. He's fated to suffer at my hands.
どんなに嫌がっても泣き叫んでも絶対にやめない。それが俺にとっての復讐だからな。
No matter how much he hates it, or screams and cries here inside, in my heart, I'll never stop because that's how I'm getting my revenge. Sailor Moon told me that the power of love is all you need, and I believed her. You seriously thought you could get him back through the power of love? Well, too bad. Hanzo grinned from ear to ear, looking down on me as I lay there on the ground. Dark emotions I'd never seen before crossed a face I had only recognized as Kuga's. That's not Kuga. Not the Kuga I fell in love with. He was right here before my very eyes, yet horribly far away. Seeing this made starkly apparent, I began seething with anger.
だが、そんな私でも一つ妻に。
We don't do flashbacks. We don't do flashbacks here. That's what he said back then. He said he wanted to live even if he wasn't a vessel, even if he couldn't carry out his duties. Even after saying that for the first time in his life, he's nonsense. What? Enough of this nonsense. Before I knew it, the words were flying out of my mouth. I couldn't take it back at this point. I faced Hanzo, glaring at him and hissing everything that came in my mind. Hyuga's only similarity to Genjimon Akahori is look, so why are you so fixated on him? Like, why are you so obsessed with him? And not just Hyuga. Why are you so obsessed with causing trouble for all of the form folk and residents of Edo? I stood up slowly as I said this. My stomach still hurt from being kicked, but I wasn't worried about that right now. The internal damage will just have to do. I couldn't put up with the anger inside me. Besides, didn't you hear what Kuga said earlier? He doesn't want to burden you with the same crimes as Akahori. It was so kind of him to want that for you. Did you even hear him? What you're doing isn't vengeance. You're just taking your anger out on people. Yeah, you wimp. The moment those last few barbed words left my lips, a look of shock crossed Hanzo's face for the very first time. He must not expected me to point that out. No, actually, the look on his face suggests he had a faint idea it was true. Shut up, shut up, shut up. How do you know how it feels losing everything I held dear? I do know, because I'm right about to lose someone who means the world to me, the only person I love most. Give Kuga back. I took up my dagger again and charged at Hanzo, a last-ditch effort. I wanted Kuga back, even if it meant sacrificing myself. You fool, you seriously thought that would work? Maybe, I don't know. Hanzo readied his sword once more to fend off my attack. I knew that I wouldn't win, even if I charged him head-on. Still, all I could do was bet everything. I added a letter. All I could do was bet everything on this. However, his sword remained completely still long after he swung it at me. It appeared to be Hanzo's arm that wasn't moving. What's going on here? Hanzo made attempts to unleash energy using the black threads wrapped around his entire body, but it didn't seem to be working for him either. That meant that he no longer could dodge my blade. I frantically stabbed Hanzo with my dagger, whoa, 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 which was now sticking out of his abdomen. Then, since I was in close quarters, Hanzo's embraced me to keep me from moving. What the? He wasn't going to counterattack like this? He was... Are you sad now? I'm so sorry. I instinctively froze, imagining the worst possible outcome, but then... Mask on, mask off. That's how you can tell if it's him or not. He is the mask.
Arigato.
Leah, thank you. It wasn't Hanzo. I heard a sweet and familiar voice whispering into my ear. Did I get the bad ending, or is everybody gonna live? I'm so confused. I immediately looked up and saw a familiar and gentle smile on Hanzo, no Kuga's face. Oh goodness. Kuga? Is it really you? Dang.
そうだ。お前のおかげで帰ってこられた。
It is. I'm back thanks to you. Kuga! It was him without a doubt. The moment I heard him say that, I was so overcome with emotions that I bursted into tears. Kuga, the person I'd been looking for, was here. He had taken his body back from Hanzo and was holding me in his arms. Then I instantly remembered what I had just done. I'm sorry. My dagger's lodged in your stomach. Oh my god.
気にするな。こうでもしないと主導権を取り返せなかったのだから。
Don't worry about it. If you hadn't stabbed me, I wouldn't have been able to regain control. This is one of those sentences that out of context is just like weird.
お前の声がずっと聞こえていた。
Imagine a serial killer route where that's the only way to get them to remember they're in love with you. Crazy, right? Wouldn't that be crazy? I just realized that was Mathis. Oh god, I was joking and then it was actually real. I heard everything you said during the battle, including your voice calling my name. I worked up the strength to come back because I wanted to answer you.
こんな気持ちになれたのもお前のおかげだ。私が
It's great. It's great. You're covered in blood and soot, guys. I'm just saying it right now. There's like 5 bodies behind us dying right now. You're the only reason I can even feel that way. I don't think that would have ever occurred to me if I was still a vessel. So Leah, I love you. Oh, you should have missed Tojo's bad ending. Everybody was dead and he was making out with her, basically. I was like, ooh, that's a bad time. Hugo's feelings, his warm love for me slowly sank in. All I could manage to do was vigorously nod my head. I do too. I love you too, Kuga. Hanzo, we're in the middle of something. Can you back off? This is not the time. Just then, a tangled mass of pitch black threads oozed from Kuga's body. Still love him, right? Oh, God. It was Hanzo. He must have been driven out of Kuga's body when my dagger attack awakened Kuga's self. He was now in spirit form like I had seen before. Where's Yoichi? Yoichi had the doll. Hanzo, you seem to be projecting a lot. I don't think you should blame other people. What's going on with your chest, my dude? There's something weird going on right at your neckline. Is it because the door's seeping through? Okay. Enough of this bullshit. How come nothing ever works out for me? How come he's always the one who gets to be happy? This feels very Marsha. I refuse to accept this whole charade. Hanzo yelled resentfully before throwing himself at Kuga again. He must have been planning to occupy Kuga's body once more time. There's Yoichi. Not on my watch. There we go. Before the rest of us could react, Yoichi, who was lying on the ground next to Kuga, used his sword to fling something. It was the dog Kyoshiro had handed us. Yoichi intended to... Was it Kyoshiro? It was the other guy, I thought. Yoichi intended to bind Hanzo to a brand new container as planned. What the... Does it turn into a cute little Hanzo, though? Is he like a little Hanzo now? Hanzo didn't even react to the doll being suddenly flung at him. The moment the doll passed through a section of Hanzo's spirit body, he was immediately sucked into it. We had succeeded in merging Hanzo with the doll. Genjuro! I'm on it. At that moment, Kuga adjusted his grip on his sword in his hand. Once he had made sure I had stood out of the way. I don't think he sees you as family, but that's nice. That's nice of you. This is the one thing I can do for you as family. Kuga sliced into the doll. As soon as he did, it turned to dust and melted into the snow where it disappeared. Kuga watched all this happen in silence, his eyes filled with emotions too complicated to describe. Because the battle was over. Huh? I whipped around because I thought I heard someone's voice. There wasn't a single soul around, however. The only thing there was the shrine I knew so well. Was that my imagination just now, or... Huga's dying. Don't worry about it. We'll talk to the gods later. But then Kuga, who had been standing beside me, staggered and nearly collapsed to the ground. Kuga! I propped him back up right away. He still had my dagger sticking out of his stomach, a serious injury on its own, but Kuga's entire body was all covered in wounds from fighting the other Oniwaban. I'm so sorry, Kuga. I'll call a doctor right away. She lives on a mountain away from everybody. I know we haven't been here in a while. He's just mad he couldn't get the girl. He wasn't a route option. I couldn't date him. Apparently she only goes after vessels. It's a thing. I'm fine. None of these injuries are life-threatening, and unless you pull the dagger out, it won't bleed everywhere and make a mess. It's also bad just to move it. Yeah, don't move the dagger. In fact, I'm more worried about you and the other... Oh, right. What about everyone else? If Hanzo had severely wounded them, their lives might be in danger. I whipped around and saw everyone else was already beginning to stir. I'm not that weak. I'm in quite a bit of pain. I'm just glad to be alive.
大太郎、あなたちょっと余裕そうですね。ふもとの村まで助けを呼んできなさい。
Otaro seems a little bit better off than the rest of us. Why? That's because he's not injured at all. Go to the village at the foot of the mountain and call for help.
俺こっちだって辛いのに。
He's over here. He's a little liar. He's fine. Me? But I'm in pain too. Oh, well. Looks like they're all okay. Does it? I'm glad to hear that. The others weren't able to get right back on their feet like Otaro could, but they were probably fine if they were this talkative. I watched them in relief when... Leah? Mere moments after he called my name, Kuga put his arm around my shoulder. Then he pulled me closer to him. Kuga? Do you mind letting me do this for a little while? Our heads and shoulders were now touching. What is this all about? Girl, don't lie. I guess he's doing this because he wants me to stay beside him. As I thought this to myself, Kuga gave me an even tighter squeeze, using the arms he wrapped around me. To keep me from touching the dagger, still plunged in his stomach, of course. Of course, you know. Beep. Just then, Kuga started affectionately rubbing his head against me. Okay, that's a little weird. I took a peek at his face and noticed he seemed to be in pain. Alright, in his current state, letting go of me wouldn't be a good thing at all for Kuga. We'd managed to save Ito and its people. To us, there was no happier outcome. But Hanzo hadn't just been an enemy to Kuga. The feelings was probably too complicated, too overwhelming for him to bear on his own. And yet, he thanked me anyways. I felt my chest tighten up. Thank you so much, Kuga. For what? For coming back. It makes me so happy just knowing you're alive and right here beside me. I whispered this without much thought, only for Kuga to then peer at me with a rather pained expression. Yeah, but we're gonna figure out where's Hanzo? Like, where's Hanzo's item? Gotta purify it. You've always done the same for me. You've always so warm and welcoming and accepting. Oh, now you're just a liar. I've been saved countless times by having you in my life. Liar. Kuga. It's all thanks to you, Leah. I came back because you wanted me to. I managed to save my family, and for that,
ありがと
thank you. Kuga looked up to the heavens while whispering this to keep his tears from falling. I looked up at the sky along with him and saw stars twinkling through the clouds. The clouds. This is lovely. Nice. I looked up at the sky. I watched as snow fell all around us. An almost spellbinding sight.
う。良いかの
Go talk to
力
the
は
god now.
夕方以上に夜に増す。一人でここまで旅をしている間。
Lightfall's powers
夜が
grow
来
after
るのが
dark.
いつも恐ろしかった。
Just like dying light. Dude, Blightfalls are just dying light zombies. I got it. I was terrified of night falling while traveling here alone.
自分が自分で亡くなりそうだったのもそうだな。この暗い空の下のどこかで、お前が辛い思いをしているんじゃないかと心配だった。
Despite being on the verge of losing myself, I was still worried you were somewhere out there beneath this dark sky going through a difficult time.
だが、今は本当に美しく見えるな。
But now it looks so beautiful to me. Oh, it really is beautiful.
きっと、お前と一緒だからなのだろ
And now you're just trying too hard. Probably because I'm with you, Leah. And Kuga gently smiled at me. The moment I saw the warm smile on his face, I just knew the same peaceful life we had before. And for Kuga, a life of peace had returned. I wish moments like this could last forever. Now I hope that we'll get even more moments like this together, moments completely free of any sorrow. Thinking this made the sky look more special than anything I'd ever seen in my life. With Kuga by my side, I quietly reflected on the happiness he brought me. Did we do it? Did we win, son? We did it! We got the good ending. Like, remember when we met him and he was doing martial arts, stopping fights? And when he's like, this is the most effective way to walk. It's very cute, but now we have to get the bad ending. We have to get all the endings. Also, that's the cover for my last stream that I bought. I made the cover a different cover though. So look forward to that when it gets uploaded. Training at night. Classic. Is this music too loud? 'Cause it seems real loud to me. Cool. Him blushing. Wait, I don't remember that photo. Wait, did I lose a photo? Did I get that photo and just it didn't correlate to me? Him hugging me. Staring up at the sky. Remembering that he was a not a form book, but you know, a vessel. Crying in the streets. Okay, now it should be the after story question mark. Final chapter. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Rice balls ready, pickles ready, and side dishes ready. All I have left to do is make tea, and while it's still hot, bring it to Kuga in the garden where he's training.
おい、
Hey, Lee, did I not? Oh wait, I turned this down too. Ha 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 ha. I know what I'm doing because I'm smart. I was hoping to bring him breakfast while it was still warm, but he came back before I had a chance.
もう朝毛の用
I
意を
turned
済
it
ませ
all
た
the
の
way
か。
down.
いつも早いな。
You're already done making breakfast? You're always up so early. Oh, not at all. This is the least I can do. I honestly wanted to bring it to you before you were done with your training, but Kuga was such an early bird that I could be determined to wake up early and still not be able to get everything ready in time. It's because we are instinctively a night owl on the inside. For the last few days, I'd been secretly excited about making a modest dream come true, having breakfast together on the veranda while taking in the morning sun. Kuga must be feeling better now that his stomach wound is all healed up. Remember when I stabbed you? LOL anyways. Guess I'm not I'm no match for his enthusiasm being back in business after taking it easy. Kuga, what's the matter?
いや、明日から鍛錬の前にお前の朝毛の支度を手伝うべきかと考えていた。
I was just thinking I should help you make breakfast in the morning before training starts tomorrow. Huh? Oh, is my cooking still that dire? It's a little better than when I was working for you. I mean, I haven't burned any fish since then.
そういうことではない。共に暮らしているのだから、お前に任せっぱなしというのもどうかと思ってな。
Aw, look at him. He cares. It's a shared home. We work together. That's not what I meant. Since we're living together, I just don't think I should be letting you take care of everything. Don't even worry about that. I'm your servant, so of course I can do all the chores around
し
here.
かし、それも今だけのことだろ。
But just for now, right? Huh?
それに、何より私自身がお前のために何かしてやりたいんだ。
Besides, I mostly just want to do something for you. Huh?
おかしなことを言った。
Did I say something odd? No, it's nothing. What did he mean just now? Several months had gone by since we solved the Hanzo case. Once embroiled in a long stretch of chaos and turmoil, Edo was now enjoying unprecedented levels of peace. This was because ever since the battle we had fought that day, Blightfall had stopped appearing for the most part.
考えうるのは半蔵に力を与えた神が良いかの大量出現に関わっていたということだな。
It is conceivable, I suppose, that the god who granted Hanzo his power had something to do with the large amount of Blightfall appearing all over the city.
そなたらが半蔵と共に神をも浄化したことで、その他の良いかも姿を消したのだろう。
I don't think cutting a doll purified him. It just killed. He's gone. He's gone now. Perhaps the other Blightfall vanished due to your purifying the god along with Hanzo. Now that they're both gone, however, we have no way to know for sure. Are they gone? That was the opinion of the Shogunate, or rather Lord Yoshimun. They're the same person. Nevertheless, Blightfall had entirely disappeared. Hadn't entirely disappeared. They occasionally spawned on their own after large disagreements or fires. Still, the Oniwaban's lives and mindsets had shifted quite a bit compared to before, when we were busy going on daily patrols and slaying
どうし
Blightfall.
た？先ほどから挙動不審だが、体調でも悪いのか？
She's just here having an internal monologue in front of him like, What's wrong, Leah? You've been acting strangely for a while. Are you feeling under the weather?
もしそうなら、今日の予定は取りやめて、ゆっくり休んでもらうが。
If you are, you should cancel your plans for today and get some rest. I might not have time to get the bad ending. If you are, you should cancel your plans for today and get some rest. Not at all. I feel great. So relax. I get out enough too.
本当か？
Really? Yeah. I meant to be on an hour earlier, but because we took so long to get to Dutch Bros, I started a bit later.
熱もないみたいだな。よかった。
You don't look pale, and it doesn't seem like you have a fever. You know dem resets? Wait a second. What resets? Did I miss something? Oh, you dem rest. Okay. It wasn't rest. I got up at 6 a.m. because we were going to go to Dutch Bros, and then we didn't end up leaving for Dutch Bros until almost at like 7:30, so I didn't get back home until 8. It ruined my plans. I had a plan. Kuga moved my bangs out of the way and gently placed his hand on my forehead. His gentle touch and kind expression made my heart skip a beat. Kuga's such a nice guy. He always been nice, but lately he's been even more so. Kuga really does have feelings for me after all. Although we'd proclaimed our love for each other that day during the final battles, we never specifically talked about it. And because of that, we continued living the same way we had before, even after having quieted down. Maybe I should try bringing it up again. Hey, you know how you said you liked me earlier? Twirled hair. Wait, Kuga doesn't necessarily mean the same thing I do when I use that word. I can't find the courage to ask.
おい、さすがに挨拶もなく勝手に入るのは。
Hey now, don't just walk in without any greeting.
だから今からするってば。Genjuro!
I said I would in just a second. Genjuro, Leah. Yes. Yes, Tomonari. I heard a cheery voice just then coming from the foyer. Before long, a few familiar faces had entered the house.
お前たちか。また遊びに来たのか。
That's you guys, stopping for another visit.
ちょっと遊びとは失礼だな。これは心の封印を解く会っていうれっきとした調査だよ。
Come on, don't be rude and call it a visit. This is a full-fledged investigation, a seal-breaking committee.
今日は表のOniwabanの手伝いもありませんし、良いかも全く出てきませんからね。つまりは全員暇なんです。
There's nothing we can do to assist the public Oniwaban today since Blightfall haven't been appearing anywhere. It left us all with free time on our hands.
だからまた、久我さんと君にいろいろ教えてもらおうと思って。
So we thought, why not ask Kuga and Leah to tell us everything they know?
今回はみんなで富くじを買ってみたんだ。もし1000両が当たりでもしたら、驚いて封印も解けるんじゃないかってさ。
This time, we all brought lottery tickets. We're thinking if someone hits the jackpot, they'll be so surprised it'll break the seal on their hearts.
まあ、朝げ中に来たのは悪いとは思っているが。
Sorry, we came while you guys were eating breakfast, though. Yoichi's eating our breakfast without asking again. Yoichi was the only one I wasn't entirely sure wanted to break the seal on his heart. I have a sneaking suspicion he was only here to eat. Chirp, 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 chirp. Yoichi continued to be a huge hit with Komame, even though he's pigging out. Komame was usually still pretty sleepy around this time of day, but today she was full of energy and clinging to Yoichi.
こまめ、よかった。元気そうだな。近頃寒い日が続いてるから心配して。
Komame, I'm glad to see you're doing good. It's been one cold day after another recently, so I was And she still hates Tojo.
国高は富くじが当たるよりもこまめに懐いてもらえる方がびっくりして封印が解けそうだよな。
Instead of the lottery, you'd probably have more luck surprising yourself into breaking your seal if you got Komame to like you, Kunataka.
本当ですね。愛で封印が解ける者もいれば、スズメの気まぐれで心を取り戻すかもしれない者もいる。
Kenji, you should read a
興
book.
味深いじゃないですか。
It's true. If some have their seals broken by love, then perhaps other gain their hearts at the whims of sparrows rather profound, don't you think?
おい、人をバカにするなら大声でやってくれ。あんたたちにまで気を使われてるのかと思うと余計虚しくなってくる。
Hey, if you're gonna make fun of me, at least do it loudly. The thought of you guys being worried about me makes it feel even more
別
hollow.
に気は使っていないですよ。形だけでも気遣いらしいことをしてみたら、封印に影響があるかもしれないと思って試してみただけです。
It's not all that. I'm not all that worried about you. I was just trying to act concerned for show in case it had any effect on my seal.
でもさ、国高いい線いってるんじゃね？
Didn't we establish that they die if they break their
だって
seals? Like, Kenji has a beautiful voice. It sounds so soothing. I love Kenji's voice. If you haven't played Collar X Malice, play it because the same voice actor's in that. I've said it a couple times. I'm going to keep saying it. He's my favorite character in Collar X Malice. You're right on track though, Kunitaka. It feels hollow to you, doesn't it?
確かに。
It does.
大太郎の言うことは一理ある。私も封印が解ける以前から不
Otaro
安や
does have
悩
a
みを感
point.
じていた。
Before Before my seal broke, I felt uneasy and worried.
すでに伝えたが、我々の封印は心そのものではなく、心を持っているという感覚にかけられている可能性が高いというのが彼女の見解だ。
As I mentioned before, in Leah's opinion, actually, let me load something. I lied. It wasn't gonna be fast. All right. As I mentioned before, in Leah's opinion, it's fairly likely that the seal is on feelings of having a heart rather than our hearts themselves. It's loading so slow that I crash everything in the process. I may have. It's fine. I'll let it load in the background. Rather than our
も
hearts
し皆が
themselves.
封印を解きたいと望むなら、今後もこの調子で感情を呼び起こしそうな行動を続けていくといい。私もできる限り協力しよう。
If you're looking to break your seals, keep doing things that elicit emotions from you. I'll pitch in from here where I can. Actually, it's interesting that they're trying to break their seals on this one, because in Tojo's, the same thing kind of happened on the last part where they kind of nearly got rid of all the Blightfall, but they still weren't trying to do anything crazy like that. I'm opening my notes for this game because I had a note in there. Alright.
ええ、せいぜい頑張ってみますよ。良いか退治がなくなって、暇で仕方がありませんしね。
But did the Shogunite say he's not going to kill you guys if you unleash your emotions? Because that was like the fear, wasn't it? I'm trying my best. It's inevitable, but that we have all this free time on our hands without Blightfall to slay.
もともと表の生活と鬼屋版の仕事の二足の嵐が当たり前だったもんな。
Well,
新し
duh.
いこと始めないと張り合いないよな。
We had a lot going on with that. What with us juggling our public lives with our Oniwaban jobs, it wouldn't have been worth our time to start anything new.
そうなんだよな。それにキコとしては心なんて必要ないと思っていたが、手習いの師匠としてはあった方がいいかもしれないし。
True enough, I also didn't think I needed a heart as a vessel. Maybe I should have one since I'm a teacher, though.
役目もなくなったし、道具に戻されるかと思ってたけど、吉宗様はそんな気ないみたいだしね。
I thought we'd turn back into objects once our jobs went away, but it doesn't seem like Lord Yoshimun wants to do that. I assume the true ending is going to be Tomonari's ending, and that's going to, like, there will be no Blightfall at the end of that one.
当たり前でしょ。今まで散々尽くしてあげたんだから、なんかいいことないとやってられないよ。
Of course not. He got his use out of us, so he won't unless he's got a good reason to. The vessels would never be caught dead saying anything of this if it weren't so peaceful. Once it was clear Blightfall numbers had dropped, Lord Yoshimun granted us the freedom to live our lives however we wished. The imaginary situation I talked about with Mimi had become reality. The first thing I did was offer to be Kuga's servant, however. Alright, do I have my notes yet? Maybe I haven't gotten my notes on him yet. Everything's loading so slow. This is very typical of my game, though, when I'm streaming. The other vessels, save for Kyoshido, still hadn't decided what they wanted to do, so they continued to live the same as they had before, aside from their Oniwaban duties. Kuga still seemed to be thinking about what his future held for him and spent his days leisurely assisting the public Oniwaban along with the others. For a while I was worried they might get rid of Kuga because the seal on his heart broke. I never imagined things would be so tranquil. The vessels would form a seal-breaking committee. Life worked in mysterious ways. Can't the Shogunite turn the seals off? He's the one who created the seals to begin with. Let's see. Did I make notes? No, I have not made notes about that yet. Interesting. Well, never mind. I was going to say another voice acting role he had, but I don't have my notes for it.
でもまあ、街の人からの誤解も解けたようでよかったな。今はもう普通に街中も歩けるんだろ？
Glad you managed to clear up the townspeople misunderstandings. You can walk around town normally now, right?
まあ、そうなのだが。
I can, although...
しかし、悪評が消えただけならまだしも、宮地殿の計らいで事件を解決したのは、私だと思われてしまっているのはどうなのだ。
I would have preferred if my bad reputation just went away. What am I supposed to make of Lord Miyagi convincing everyone that I solved the case?
いいじゃないですか。本当にそうなんですから。町の人に事情を説明するためにも、そうしておいた方が手っ取り早いでしょう。
Isn't it a good thing? Since you actually did, wouldn't it be much simpler to leave it be than to explain the situation to all of them? It definitely would. The townsfolk had found it odd from the start that the form folk who'd been acting out had unanimously said, oh gosh. Animosity is the word I think it's supposed to have over here, but I don't even know. Unhumanous me? Oh goodness, I can't do it. Today's not the day. Today is not the day for this word. The townsfolk had found it odd from the start that the form folk who had been acting out had unanimously said things like, for Hanzo and bring Genjo out. Miyagi zeroed in on this and spread rumors that the bad guy was targeting Kuga, deceiving form folks and sowing chaos throughout Edo. Just when the form folks who had been asleep as an effect of Hanzo's powers woke up and went back to normal, Kuga returned to the capital covered in battle scars. Therefore, they accepted the rumor as true. Kuga's reputation had done a complete 180 as a result. Instead of being treated as an abhorrent villain, he was now a hero, and he never should have been treated like a villain to begin with, because nobody in this town saw him do anything bad. You're trusting a random guy that popped up and taking his word at face value is ridiculous. I don't deserve to be regarded as a hero. Damn, I also have trouble accepting things like that. I was really happy for you, though. They all seemed to be relieved to know that you were innocent, too. Were they? Yeah, don't they seem kind of happy even though they're apologizing to you? It hurts a lot that nobody believed Kuga back then, and honestly, it was kind of unbelievable that everyone didn't believe Kuga back then when the terrible rumors were going around. But now I sort of understood how the townspeople had felt at the time. I didn't. They only had been saying all those bad things about Kuga because of the rumors, and rumors are rumors, and they are not facts. Like, we shouldn't be acting like rumors are facts. Like, that's the problem I have with it. Hanzo had been spreading about him, of course, but they were probably sad that Kuga they knew might have been a total sham. Sometimes you just gotta believe who you have. Also, people change, right? I'm not saying that someone who murders an entire family should be forgiven, but I am saying that, let's say Magneto went out, had a whole new family, got a kid, and then they killed that kid, and I'm not supposed to feel bad for Magneto? Like, what are you even getting at, game? God. Kuga and the other vessels weren't the only ones who learned about hearts through this series of incidents. I had too. Anger, hatred, and occasionally a thirst for blood. When did she have a thirst for blood? These may have been the emotions visible from the surface, but underneath lurked more complex feelings. I thought I knew everything, though, through the use of threads, but now I felt like I understood things using my own heart.
そういえば俺たち、Genjuroに聞きたいことがあるんだけど。
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you something, Genjuro.
なんだ?
Ask me what?
この絵、あんたにはどう見える?
What do you make of this picture? Yoichi produced a very lewd painting. You can't just pull stuff out like that in front of people.
やはり人間だけあって、お嬢さんの反応はそれらしいですね。
As I expected from a human like young miss.
俺たちなんとも思わないんだよな。してること自体はわかるんだけど、高かったのに残念だな。
We got nothing from it. I mean, I can tell what they're doing and all, but too bad since it was so expensive. To be really honest, I can't tell at all. The vessels were acting a bit more human because of their interest in hearts, but they were still no different when it came to things like this. This is a callback to when she was changing, and she's like, can you leave?
お前は見ないようにしてくれていいから。
Sorry, Leah, you don't have to look at this pornography.
どう？久我さん。
What do you think, Kuga?
正直、それほど興味はわかんな。
Honestly, I don't find it all that interesting.
源十郎もなのか？じゃあ、この子が相手でも？
You too, Genjiro. What if it was Leah? Huh? Why me?
東條さん、さすがにその質問は無作法じゃない？
That was rude of you to ask.
ええ、源十郎の答えがどちらでもお嬢さんが気まずいでしょう。
Truly, no matter how Genjiro answers, it'll be awkward for the young lady.
国高ってそういうところあるよね。
Didn't know you could be like that, Kunitaka.
俺だけか？悪いの俺だけか？いや、でも俺が悪かったのは確かだな。そこは申し訳ない。
Why am I the only one at fault here? Well, I mean, I know I messed up. I'm sorry about that.
でもこれは意味なかったかもね。だってキコって形人と人間の中間みたいなものだから子供が作れるのかわからないんだろ？
Maybe this doesn't mean anything. We don't have any clues if vessels can have children with humans, right? I'm pretty sure my dad was a vessel. Oh, let's see. I'm going to join this call really quick, but I'm going to deafen myself because I'm still finishing this chapter. Bye for now. Alright, maybe this doesn't mean anything. Alright, we still have no clue if vessels can have children with humans, right?
心が戻ってもそういう欲みたいなのはない方が自然じゃないの？
I mean, doesn't it just make sense that you still wouldn't have the urge even after getting your heart back?
それは。
Well, excuse me. Kuga, we need to leave soon, otherwise we'll get home late. The conversation seemed like it would head in a weird direction if I let it go on any longer, so I decided to go ahead and remind Kuga of our plans. We're basically aliens is what they're saying, that vessels are aliens with no human urges, because they're basically not human at all.
そうだったな。訪ねてきてくれたばかりのところ悪いが、お前たちも家を出てくれるか？
It's true. Sorry to ask this when you only just came to visit, but could you please leave as well?
一緒に富くじの結果見に行かないの？当たったらあんたらに自慢しようと思ってたのに。
Why don't you come with us to hear the lottery winners? I was hoping to proudly rub it in your face if I won. We're going somewhere today. It's the month anniversary of his death.
ああ、そういうことか。
Gotcha. A month anniversary, huh? The rest of them nodded in understanding when I explained why. We were leaving to visit Hanzo's grave. Yeah, but Hanzo wasn't even a thing. I'm glad the weather's nice today. Agreed. As I performed the snow sacrament on Hanzo, he disappeared without a trace along with the doll prepared by the Oniwaban. Because of this, there was nothing buried beneath the gravestone we had set up at the bottom of the hill. The grave was something Kuga had made to signify his passing. Chirp, chirp! Komame seemed quite fond of the area because she was normally a city bird. She paced in circles enjoying our walk. She's a city bird. That's a pigeon, by the way. Don't go too far, Komame. Chirp! Kuga and Komame are pretty close now. It warmed my heart to see her follow her command and walk right beside us. After looking at her, Kuga offered the flowers he was holding to Hanzo's grave. Then he quietly clapped his hand together and looked up at the sky, looking rather moved.
私には未だに脇差しだった頃の記憶はない。
I still have no memory of being a sword. Right,
しかし、半蔵に体を乗っ取られていた時に、たくさんの記憶を見せてもらった。
When Hanzo took over my body, he showed me so many of his own memories.
元の持ち主である石井殿が自分を説いてくれていた時のことも。
Including the moment my previous owner, Lord Ishii, honed me.
その作業を見ていた半蔵に、石井殿は言ったのだ。お前の元服は、三男の現像と一緒にしよう。その祝いに、脇差しも譲ってやる。
Hanzo watched him work on the sword. Lord Ishii said they'd celebrate his coming of age at the same Genpuku ceremony as Genzo. And the Wakashi was a present. The Wakizashi was a present. And by that, he meant the Wakizashi you came from, right?
そうだ。半蔵はその約束が果たされるのをとても楽しみにしていたようだ。
He did. Hanzo was really looking forward to seeing that promise
そ
come
の日が
true.
来る前に脇差しが形人になったらどうすると冗談交じりに家族に指摘されたりもしていたが、
His family half jokingly pointed out the sword might become a form folk before that even
その時
happens.
半蔵はそうなればもっと嬉しいと弟ができるのは歓迎だと言っていた。
But Hanzo said he'd be even happier if it did, that he'd gladly welcome a younger brother.
半蔵が胸に描いたものと実際に待ち受けていた未来は大きく異なってしまったが、あいつも確かに私を家族と思ってくれていたのだ。
Don't speak for the dead. You can't tell them how they feel. There ended up being a huge difference between what Hanzo pictured and the future that actually awaited him, but I'm certain he also thought of me as family.
私は間違いなく家族の絆の証だった。だからそんな私があいつに引導を渡せてよかったと思ってい
I
る。
have irrefutable evidence of our familial bond, so I'm glad I was able to give him a proper send-off. Then Kuga quietly peered over at me. The look on his face was bittersweet, but rather than somber, it seemed filled with hope for the future.
私が家族と再び巡り会えたのも己の心を知ることができたのも、
It's all thanks to you that I managed to reunite with my family and get to know my own heart.
そしてお前の存在が私を生かしてくれた。
Having you in my life has kept me
私
going.
に生の喜びを与え
You've
て
shown
く
me
れ
the
た。
joys in life.
そんなお前とこれからもずっと支え合いながら生きたいと思っている。
I would love living the rest of our lives together, supporting each other, so...
私の家族になってくれないか。
Yeah, would you like to be a part of my family? Oh my god! I don't think we've shown her, like, at this angle, too. So, like, she looks extra cute right now. Oh my goodness. Kuga. Being on the other end of his intense, dead serious gaze made me unconsciously tense up. Because I was overjoyed, of course. I was so overjoyed, however, that I couldn't immediately think of anything to say back. Meanwhile, Kuga began to speak again.
そのお互いに気持ちを伝え合った後、すぐにでも求婚するべきなのだとは思っていた。だが、己の身の振り方が決められなくてな。
I just knew I should have proposed to you shortly after we expressed our feelings for each other. I just wasn't sure how to go about
中
it.
途半端な状態でお前をめとっても苦労をかけさせるだけかもしれない。私は
Half-heartedly asking for your
お前
hand
を
might
幸
have
せ
made
に
you
した
worry
いのだから。
instead. And I want to make you happy.
だから己の将来についてもいろいろと考えていたが、今決めた。私はこれからも番方として
So after doing some thinking about my future, I've made up my mind I'd like to continue striving to protect Ito as a castle
半蔵
watchman.
の流した噂によって立った悪評もすでに消えた。また良いか失言の懸念を避けおいても、町民たちは治安を維持するものを必要としている。最も適任なのは、もともとその役を負っていた私だろう。不思議なものだ。この身はすでに貴子の断りから外れているというのに、私は未だ人々の生活が平穏無事であってほしいと願っているのだから。その時、隣にお前がいてくれたら、私はこれ以上ないくらい幸福なのだが、ダメだろうか。本当にいいのか。 すまない。お前を不安にさせてしまったようだな。私が不甲斐ないばかりに。ふむ。それはつまり、私の愛情表現が不足していたということだろうな。未だに自己表現はどうしたらいいのか迷う。
Oh goodness. Oh no. I muted myself because I sneezed earlier. I'm so sorry. I was sneezing. I thought I unmuted myself. Anyways. I'm gonna go back to this part because it made me laugh. Apologies. It looks like I made you worry. After all, I'm worthless, which I thought was hilarious. Don't be sorry. That's my fault for not asking you myself. I wasn't brave enough to bring it up. So I didn't show my love for you enough. I'm still not sure how to express myself.
これからはお前が不安にならないよう素直な気持ちを伝
Now
えよ
I'm
う。
curious, did I mute myself while I was
それなら
sneezing?
問
Did
題な
I
いだろう。
sneeze on off mute? Now I'm scared. I thought I just hit the mute button. Concern rises in me. I'll be more open about my feelings from now on, so I don't make you worry. Would that be all right with you? Yeah, thank you so much.
愛しているぞ。
He says it so seriously. He just said I love you, by the way. This is a pretty intense. Lee, I love you with all my heart. I love you too.
お前とならきっと素晴らしい家庭を築けると確信している。お前のような嫁をもらえるなんて私は果報者だ。
Aww. I'm a firm belief that you could raise a lovely family together. I'm lucky that I've got someone like you to be my wife. I mean, if we can't have children, we can, like adopt children.
本音を言うとお前との子も欲しいのだな。
To be frank, I would love to have children with you. Huh? But,
皆の前では言えなかったが、私にだってそれなりの欲はある。もちろん、お前に対してだけだが。
I couldn't say it in front of everyone else, but I do have those sorts of desires as well, and only for you, of course.
私は気候だから、子は作れぬかもしれないが、それでも、お前と夫婦らしいことはしたいと思う。
I might not be able to have children because I'm a vessel, but I'd love to do what husbands and wives do with you. Would you mind that? Wow, what an indirect, direct way of saying that. Oh my goodness. He's got that ancient riz. Oh my god. No, I wouldn't. I'd also love to actually be husband and wife with you. I would love to lay in bed with you, is what she said. I was so embarrassed I wasn't sure I'd be able to say the last part out loud. My cheeks were hot and my face was bright red as I stood there with my head hung low. Kuga smiled with utter delight.
お前は
You are absolutely adorable. What?
思ったことを言っただけだ。たった今、そう約束しただろ。
I just said exactly what I felt. I just promised you I would, didn't I? You did, but...
いや、約束だけでは足りないのか。
They had to be indirect because this game has a T rating, by the way. Oh no, was promising it not enough? After pondering it to himself for a little while, he turned and faced me again.
絶対にお前を寂しがらせたりはしない。そしてお前を守れるように日々努力すると約束しよう。
I will never make you feel lonely. I promise to work hard every single day so I can protect you.
だからこれを誓いの証とさせてくれ。
Please accept this as proof. Kuga then placed his hand under my chin, lifted my head. I thought he was going to give her a present, like a ring. I guess kissing works too. And gently brought his lip to mine. It was a kiss so gentle it proved what Kuga had just said. Even though our lips only touched for a brief moment, I could feel my already high body heat rising. Blood was not in there. And Kyuga's serious face was surprisingly close to mine.
どうだ
Aww.
ちゃんと誓いになっただろうか
So did that make for a good enough promise? After kissing me for some time, Kuga quietly moved away from me. Yes, I couldn't be
そう
happier.
かよかった
Really, I'm glad. As we continued staring at each other up close, I felt Kyuga's large hand, which was propping my head up, gently touch my burning ears. He traced them with his fingertips teasingly, making my heart pound so hard I couldn't utter another word. This is like the second or third game I've played where like they do ear touching. I do not want anyone to ever touch my ear. Please do never touch my ears. It's not that I can't say anything. Because I was so happy. Maybe I wasn't thinking anything because I was so happy. I broke that. Did I click on that or not? Oh no. I loved Kuga, and I could also tell that Kuga was showering me with just as much affection, if not more.
早速帰りに宮地殿に仲人を頼みに行こうできるだけ早く祝言を挙げて
He's like, let's get married now. I don't want you to forget who I am too fast. Let's hurry home and ask Lord Miyagi to request an officiant. I'd like to make my vow and become your husband as soon as possible. Sure, I'd love to be your wife sooner rather than later.
そうか
Did my game freeze? Oh no, this froze. Okay, that was weird. You would. It's because I was loading the mod packs. Again, Kuga. I found myself instinctively pressing my hands against my lips, which still held traces of his
よし
warmth.
ではそろそろ行こう祝言の日取りが決まったら半蔵にも改めて報告に来なければな
Alright, let's get going then. Once we decided on a date for the ceremony, we'll have to come here and tell Hanzo. I'm glad he's openly expressing his love for me after all. But if he does this all the time, my heart might just give out.
どうした
What's wrong? Nothing. I couldn't possibly refuse when Kuga looked at me like that. When faced with happiness in the truest sense of the word, I probably wouldn't know what to do at times. But with Kuga by my side, I couldn't imagine that would be a problem. Kuga and I were about to be a real family after all. The sun shone brightly in the sky, as if shining a light on our future together. Aww. Did we do it?
君は雪間に来い
Did it. I usually try to get all the endings in one go, but I have a game I was going to start in a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'll get the other endings when I play tomorrow morning. So I'll be back on tomorrow, possibly earlier than today. I meant to be earlier today, but we don't have any coffee to get tomorrow, so I should be fine. But thank you all for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you are watching the stream on YouTube, you can see my newer stuff on Twitch. I upload all my VODs onto YouTube, so if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see my more recent videos, you can check me out on Twitch. I've been streaming Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It's not always consistently those days, but you might find me if you pop on by. Thank you so much. Have a lovely time. Bye for now. Be back soon to play Lethal Company.